Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. It's a Wednesday. It's time for Hollywood on the Rocks. And if you want to know how my night went last night, just look at my hair. It's a little out of control. Glinuccio was pointing this out to me. I was at the Saturn Awards last night. It was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll look at some videos. I'll post some videos. Lots to talk about. Today on the show, it's going to be a big one. We're going to be talking about Superman. That's right. Henry Cavill is back. Okay. Maybe old news for some of you. This happened a couple days ago, but I have some very specific thoughts about this that I want to talk about. Also, House of the Dragon. We'll talk about the season 1 finale. Ticket to Paradise is a movie that I saw this weekend. Why did I see this movie? Because I walked into the theater and I had seen every movie except for that movie. And I thought it was my duty to see it so I could talk about it. Also, special guest Dante James will be on the show today talking about the Candace Owens documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. Now, why are we talking about it? Because nobody else is. Literally, no mainstream media outlet is giving any coverage to this movie. That's where Film Thread comes in. Alan Ng will also be on the show today. Milestones to celebrate. I'm wearing one of our new t-shirt designs here. Can someone tell me where this phrase was heard? In what DC film was this phrase uttered? Dick splash. Let's get going, folks. It's Hollywood on the Rocks. I am amped up. Today. So let's get things started.
It was Super Pets. It was Super Pets.
It was not Super Pets. Someone in the chat knows. There's a scene in this movie and some kid just says dick splash, and it's the weirdest phrase. Like, why? Who previous to this movie having this line in this movie, whoever said those words dick splash?
Yeah.
I feel like it was a compromise in the writer's room. They're like, we can't have a kid say like a really cruel phrase, or we can't have him use certain words. So we're just going to have him say dick splash. What does that even mean? Does anyone in the chat know what it means? I don't know.
Well, I think the context. I mean, I think your shirt kind of gives away where it came from.
Well, it's definitely a hint if you look
Yeah.
at that.
But yeah, I think context is everything in this case.
The hope symbol right here. That's the hope symbol. All right. Couple things I want to thank you. Our channel is growing fast and furious. In the last month, we've gained over 5,000 subscribers. We stand now at more than 55,000 subscribers. I want to also thank our members. The members growing and out of control. I love it. I'm going to be try to do giveaways every week. At the end of this show, if you are a member, go to the community tab for members. Giving away a code, digital code for a free, I think it's season 2 of Stargirl. I have a digital code for that's going up at right after the show today, which is awesome.
That's very random.
Look, I just got the code. I want to give it away.
I know.
But to celebrate our reaching this milestone of 55,000, I think it's time we debut a new Alan video.
Hi.
Alan, what did you think?
Oh, of steel.
Hi.
Bee of steel. That's all I could say. Bees of steel.
How is it that the humor becomes so juvenile? Like, I don't know what it is. It's just, yeah. We just
honestly, it's my favorite kind of humor. We talked about Donnie's.
My buddy Phil Eubanks sent me that video.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
You're very popular, Alan. You don't realize this because whenever anyone does like video, they always put you in the video.
Well, I'm making the memes too. That's pretty awesome.
You're in the memes. You're in all of it. Let's go to the chat and before we get things started, let's see who is here today. Hey guys, I'm ready for some Hollywood on the rocks. Says Shucksy. Tyler Shelton, ahoy, Slappy Wags. He goes on to say, House of the Dragon season ended good. Can't wait for them all to die. That is, if it's Game of Thrones, yeah, it's not going to be a happy ending for sure. Shelby AC saw that the film threat short with the director of RRR got tons of views. That must be good for the algorithm. Yeah, thanks to Glanuccio, we're sort of clipping things and posting like just little videos that like, I don't know, I'll do out in the wild because I'm fortunate enough to go to screenings and I'll occasionally get to meet people and whatnot, which is always fun to do. I met last night at the Saturn Awards, I met Hayden Christensen. And what was weird was he kept walking by and looking at me. I think he thinks he knew me. He was like, hey, he just said to me, unprovoked, Hayden Christensen says, hey, good to see you. And I was like, have we met before? And I will say this, I did meet him before at San Diego Comic-Con at the Marriott Hotel directly next to the convention center in San Diego. Hayden Christensen just got in the elevator. He had like a ball cap on and he looked at me and he's like, okay, I know you know who I am. And we're just gonna, no words were exchanged. He just smiled, super nice guy. And last night I had a conversation with him. I didn't get a photo. Like everybody was going up to him, getting a photo. I'm like, look, just want to say Shattered Glass, I thought was great. I thought it was awesome. Just want to say, love that film. And if you have not seen that film, Shattered Glass, probably one of the best performances that Hayden Christensen's ever done. Let's get in here. T says, House of the Dragon, 10 out of 10.
I wish I'd seen it.
Great scrote. No one's talking about the greatest lie ever sold. Thank you guys. Such a good doc. Well, I have thoughts on it. I think it's half of a good doc. We will discuss. Dante James is going to come in, and I have some thoughts. I'm going to save it for when we discuss it. Andor still slow, but nice to see cameo from Gollum and Snoke. Alec Guinness voice from a certain point of view, says Alan Horkin. Mulvey 747. Glenn killing these thumbnails as usual.
Absolutely.
Of course, Glenn puts up that comment. Of course, I have too many comments. I'm never going to get to all these. I will do my best. I'm going to do my best. Your hair still looks great, Chris. Awesome. Thank you, Shucksy. I will go by your hair, but not by your shirt. Bill says Red Terror 1978. Superman did that to Chris's hair, says Bill S. Preston, Esquire. Solomon Thornton. Hope is back. Superman is back. Glanuccio. Dick Splash is what Dick Grayson yelled before jumping in Batman's pool. Glanuccio. Hot with the comments. Hot with the thumbnails. Knocking it out of the park. Dick Threat, says Patrick Lemire. When is Kanye West coming onto the show, says VDR. I'm pretty sure after everyone's put their distance from him, he might be on Film Threat at this point. Shucksy says, is that shirt from the Superman porno? Shucksy, no. This is actually available at shop.filmthreat.com. You can get this shirt. I think it's fun. Support us and get your merch at shop.filmthreat.com. Gabriel Quiroga for 2. Middle of the week can only mean Film Threat Live. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, says Mulvey 747. And Gabriel, thank you for that super chat. When will RRR be out on 4K Blu-ray, says one BLK Talon. One Black Talon. I don't know. That is a big question. I've actually asked the official Twitter account for RRR movie. And they've retweeted me, and when I'm just asking, hey, can you just tell me when it's coming out? And there is no release date. And I'd rather get the version that's in Telugu rather than the Hindi version, which is on Netflix. The movie's just slightly different. And I prefer the Telugu version, which was the theatrical release. Yeah, Richard Pryor said it in that Superman movie, says VDR. Where did you get this real life footage of Alan?
You just follow me around everywhere.
Alan is just too powerful, says Abigail. Star Wars is back. George Lucas will return, says Ram. That would be great if George Lucas did return. Dick Splash or Dick Smash, says Red Terror 1978, who's also a member. And remember, members, after the show, check that members tab. Boom, I got codes going up. We're doing more giveaways. I've got a Blu-ray giveaway that's going to be coming up in a couple. I'm trying to do giveaways at least one a week. But the giveaways, only if you're a member. Membership has its privileges. Let's see. I'm going to start from the bottom here. Finish up our comments. The new Alan video is too Freudian for me, says VDR. And Ram says, Indian movies don't come out on physical media, Chris, much less on 4K. But we want it. We want it. I would love to see RRR get a special release, mainly because I would love to get some extras. And I would really love to hear a commentary by the director, S.S. Rajamouli. So I think that other territories would want that too. There's got to be a company out there, and I want to see how they did it. There's literally very little behind the scenes of RRR. You can find some on YouTube, but I want to own the film, and I would love to get it on 4K. So Ram, thank you for that. I assume that you are posting from India, so that's awesome. Alan equals America's Asian dad, says VDR.
I like to think so, yeah.
Chris, did you get my envelope yet? I don't trust the post office, says Shucksy. I have not checked my mail. I usually check my mail about twice a month, my physical mailbox, which, if you would like to get something for free, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. Send me an envelope. Send me a big envelope with postage on it. I'll probably throw some DVDs in there, some extra gifts. But Film Threat stickers are available for giveaway to anyone who sends us a self-addressed stamped envelope. There you go. Here we go. Ball's video is meta. How Alan feels every time Chris plays the nipple video.
It's really close, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I could not resist. I could not resist. So yeah. All right. Well, let's get on to our first topic here. Let's get on to our first topic. Superman is back. I'm gonna make myself front and center here because I have thoughts. I have thoughts on this and a lot to say about Superman's return. Henry Cavill's return as Superman. A freaking IKEA chair. Okay, so let's go. Henry Cavill announced via his social media that he is returning as the Man of Steel in a new Superman movie. He'll be appearing more than likely in other DC related projects. He's back, and the new leadership at WB Warner Brothers is finally behind an iconic American superhero that has inspired millions. And here are my thoughts. And also the second greatest piece of news that arrived this week is that James Gunn will be a co-CEO of DC Movies. and he will be a part of this. And my understanding, there are rumors that James Gunn pitched a Superman story that convinced Henry Cavill that returning as the Man of Steel, putting the cape back on, is something that we all know he wanted to do, but now there was a reason to do it. And his appearance in Black Adam, of course, many of you saw Black Adam this weekend. Look, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you it's a great movie. It's 100% a fun movie. It is a popcorn movie. It is the type of blockbuster that Hollywood used to make, not so preachy and whatnot. But Henry Cavill's return as Superman signals a couple things to me. One, Hollywood has realized that this woke nonsense isn't working. You can only afford a certain number of bombs before the bottom line is affected. You need a surefire hit. Okay. And while I think it's great to take a risk on a movie that, hey, this might win us Oscars and acclaim. Hey, let's do a film that will appeal to a certain segment of the audience, but maybe it's not broad and mainstream. I think there was a huge miscalculation by Universal with the film Bros by Billy Eichner. I think they vastly overestimated the public's interest, the mainstream movie-going public's interest in a film about a gay romance. There was a film by Joe Coy, starring Joe Coy, Easter Sunday, which Alan loved, which also did not resonate at a broad mainstream level. Part of the reason may be that the audience is just not vast enough, right? The audience is not vast enough. And the audience that the film is targeted to isn't exactly showing up. Additionally, we've been trained now that, hey, these movies come out and what do? They go right to streaming. So wait like a couple, 3-4 weeks. Boom, it's going to be on streaming anyways. I'll see it then. I'll wait for streaming. That's a lot of people say that now. Is it worth going to the theater and blowing $50? That's tickets, parking, refreshments, maybe a little dinner in between or after. It's an investment. So I believe that twofold. James Gunn coming in, and he's an Alan. Maybe you can tell me his partner, the co-CEO.
Yeah, I'll get it.
If you could look that up for quickly. This is a signal that I believe that a lot of this leaning into wokeness and agenda, it isn't working. Try to point to a hit. Try to point to a film that is like that did well financially. And, weaving this into mainstream films isn't working either. None of this is working. Studios need a surefire hit. And I believe also it's a return to the type of movies that Hollywood would make, which is to appeal to a broad audience of people. So I believe
Peter Safran is the name.
Peter Safran. That's right. Peter Safran. So Henry Cavill announcing he's back, incredibly exciting. And James Gunn and Peter Safran being part of this co-CEO, they're also going to not only they're going to make films, but they're going to chart out the DC universe. And there was Zaslav who said that he's got kind of a 10-year plan. He wants like 10 years of like a DC universe. I think this is not going to be the Snyderverse. I think you're going to see a lot of people from the Snyderverse in this new incarnation. I think there'll be a slight reset of things after The Flash. There's going to be a slight reset of the universe, but this is not going to be Snyder's vision. It's going to be James Gunn and Peter Safran. So, and I think that's very good news. James Gunn was an executive producer on many of the best Marvel films at the end. But here's another thing that I think Superman coming back represents. We live in a really dark time right now. We live in a dark time politically. We live in a dark time with regard to war around the world. Vast changes happening politically, division in our country, agendas being pushed that nobody asked for. I mean, in all my look, I'm pretty sure I'm older than everyone watching this. All right. Okay, I was born 1965. Alan, do the math. Don't do the math. Well,
50.
I get it. What I'm telling you is, this is, in all my years, this is the darkest I've ever seen. Okay, and I lived through Reagan and Bush 1 and a lot of our different presidents. And what I don't see is, I don't see our leaders in anywhere, whether it be in entertainment or whether it be in politics, putting out messages that are hopeful, saying, you know what, we can solve that problem. You know what, climate change, we can do something about it, but let's go about this in a smart way, that's not going to, cripple the lower middle class by shifting too much to other sources of energy. What I'm saying is, any of the huge problems that are out there right now can be solved, but we need positive messages. What Superman represents, that symbol on his chest, is the symbol of hope. And I feel like this is what I think audiences respond to. When you look at the most popular movies at the box office this year, Top Gun Maverick, okay? It's fun, an ode to a type of blockbuster film, a tentpole movie that Hollywood would make years ago. Seems almost like an anomaly. Like, oh, you just made like a fun popcorn movie? Haven't seen that in a while. And I believe that Superman coming back, the timing could not be better, because I think that going to see entertainment, it's something that can change your mood, certainly from all the darkness that's currently in the world today. So I'm ecstatic that Superman's coming back. I think it represents a shift in Hollywood, a huge shift in Hollywood. There's an article in the New York Times today about that people are finally admitting that they pivoted too hard. They overcorrected in terms of the kinds of movies they're making for audiences. And I think that Superman coming back, Henry Cavill as Superman, I mean, I never thought anyone could be better than Christopher Reeve. I think Henry Cavill in that role really excels even beyond Christopher Reeve. So, and I saw the 1978 Superman in first run in the movie theaters when I was a kid. And everything from that music to the hopeful message to how about just be a good person, save a cat that's sitting in a tree. These are the kind of messages we need to see, because the modern hero, especially represented by Phase 4 Marvel, I don't know what the hell they're doing. And I don't know that these people are good or could be looked up to as a symbol or just even like something hopeful. So I'm ecstatic that Superman is back. I can't wait to see what Gunn and company come up with. And I'm hopeful for the future of the DC cinematic universe. Alan, any thoughts on this?
Yeah. I will say, when I saw the news about James Gunn taking over creative at DC Movies, it was like, well, there you go. They're going in the right direction here. You don't know where he's going to go, but at least he's got some comic book cred. Just the fact that Suicide Squad had Polka Dot Man in it, and he knew who it was, and so it's very, and I'm saying this as a guy who doesn't read DC comics and read very few of them. The other thing is, Disney did this to themselves. They succumbed to cancel culture, and that's what got James Gunn out of Marvel and into DC's hands. And this is bad news for Marvel at this point. And either Kevin Feige has to kind of wake up and realize the direction that he's taking the Marvel universe is the wrong direction, or he's got to get fired. And I would say that, these plans for Phase 5 and 6, they're not, we don't, who cares? Quantum Mania, the Kang Dynasty. I hate to say it, but I know very little about these stories, and I don't understand why people are embracing these stories. So yeah, getting back to James Gunn, Yeah, if anything, I am hopeful for the return of hopeful Superman. I did not like the Zack Snyder Superman. I didn't like
Well,
I didn't like Zack Snyder's take on this, but I will always go back to the Richard Donner. This idea of Superman should be a symbol of hope and a symbol of positivity of yeah, maybe America isn't the worst country in the world. Maybe it's got some merits to it. Maybe it's something that people can get behind. I'll just say lastly, when Wonder Woman came out, Patty Jenkins, she talked about how she wanted to bring back Richard Donner's tone and feel to Wonder Woman. And I do believe she did that. And I think that's why Wonder Woman stands out to me, at least amongst the those contemporary Justice League movies. But this is great news for DC. And I am open to all payouts that DC and Warner Brothers wants to send my way. And I will promote the hell out of your stuff. So whatever Superman movie is, it's great. I love it. It's the best superhero movie ever made. So I'll just throw that out there for DC. If you want to write those checks, you know how to get a hold of me.
Well, first of all, I like, actually, if you go back and watch Man of Steel, it holds up better than most of the early Marvel movies, right?
It's not.
Well, but let me defend it for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
He's going for a more serious take. What would really happen? The thing where I think it went wrong was in the third act when he's battling Zod in Metropolis, and it was way too serious. I think the destruction and whatnot was too serious. And there's a scene where Perry White is trying to save a colleague, who's been trapped, in the rubble, and her expression on her face, she's screaming. It's kind of scary. It's like he played it way too serious and dark. And I feel like those scenes could have been, we should have seen Superman saving people. He didn't save that girl. I guess my understanding is his intention is that he would inspire other people to perform heroic acts, so that because Superman technically can't do it all. So I get the reasoning, but go back and watch Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's much better than you remember it. It was kind of a shock. It was kind of a shock when Man of Steel first came out, I'll admit. But go back and watch it. It holds up way better.
My issue is that this idea that Superman is this illegal alien with superpowers, that's not a Superman story. Of what little I know of read in Superman in the comics, but have seen in movies and on television, that was never a Superman story. This idea that he's an alien that should be feared, and I think that's where tonally the whole Superman, the Man of Steel movie, just went off track right from the start.
Let's go to the well. First of all, before we go to the chat, I want to share something. If you've been following Alan on Twitter. If you follow Alan,
you should follow me.
Alan at My Pal Al will thank you. It's his whole feed is thanking people for following him and film threat articles that I assume he wrote.
Yeah, there's my Black Adam review and my mate.
Look at this. Look at this. Okay, it's just a full block of thank you for following. Look at Alan. Do you want to know how I feel every time that you do that? I'm telling you, every time I see that, here's kind of exactly how I feel.
Yeah, at My Pal Al, everybody. No, I will say half of those welcomes are to hot chicks.
Yes.
I've been getting a flood of hot chicks wanting to follow me, and they're giving me discounts on their OF accounts, which I think is awesome. So, maybe I think a few have actually tried to DM me. So,
all right,
I'm getting really popular here.
It's So follow Alan at My Pal Al if you want to have an automated bot. Thank you. We're going to be bringing on our special guest Dante James in just a minute, but I want to get through these super chats and chat comments on commenting on Superman is back. Well, a super chat here from Sean Z Comic Construct for $4.99. Late, but I made it. Heath Ledger joke. I need a sticker to post in the background on my podcast. Film threat for life. I love that. Film threat for life. You know what that earned? That earned a very special. More comments here. Brad, the Cavill Superman return was made better with the use of the John Williams theme. Look on the channel. I took a video of The Rock. He came to the theater where we saw Black Adam, and you can see him humming. VDR says aesthetically, Cavill is the perfect Superman.
I will say this: as much as I did not like Man of Steel, I thought Henry Cavill was perfect as Superman, and I am happy, overjoyed that he is back. And Ken Lauder, thank you for following me at my palette.
Oh no, people are following.
You get a personal thank you.
All right. VDR goes on to say, let's have a mustached Superman. Sean Z, Comic Construct, see what happens when you have a plan. Superman is back, baby. Amanda Nowicki says, who's a member, thank you for that. Henry Cavill is returning to Superman. Women everywhere scream with joy. There will be a shirtless scene, I assume. Solomon Thornton, happy is back. I want the Superman to be a symbol of hope, like the days of Christopher Reeve and even in the early 80s comics. James Gunn is in charge while Marvel is being meh. And A. Chernabog is a new YouTube member. Thank you, Patrick.
By the way, you should throw George Reeves into positive Superman.
George Reeves, Christopher Reeves. There you go. Patrick Lemire is a member. Nothing personal, but Superman and Spider-Man should be played by Americans. They're like James Bond, who should always be British. Matthew Hammond for $4.99. I saw on Twitter someone got a PhD in film studies. They should have watched Film Threat on Wednesdays and Fridays and received a better education. Dale Smokone, who's a member. Lol, Chris, maybe some of Hollywood has realized woke crap isn't working or worth the ESG money, but I suspect the wokeness isn't going anywhere. That's possible. CD Stein 69 for $4.99. With Cavill's return to Soups and James Gunn apparently given control, feels like could be a tectonic shift in the superhero genre for my STL guy. Is that stand for Seattle or? I don't know. I feel bad. Midnight's Edge for 200 Norwegian kronas. Is that what that is? Not only is Cavill back, Mikey Sutton reported last week that Affleck is back for a trilogy. And hours ago, Matt Reeves' The Batman 2 was pushed back to 2025 at the earliest. It's a toast. Let's see. Sean Z, Comic Construct for $1.99. Chris, you look great. And you know it, bro. Well, the hair. Obviously, I just woke. This is the hair. It kind of just like, why use product in your hair? Just sleep on a wet head of hair. You get bedhead. Leroy Russell became a member. Thank you for that. Look for there's a code going up later today. I got codes for next week. I got Blu-rays to give away. And also, of course, members get additional content as well. $1.99 from Shanzi Comic Construct. Where does the Batman fit into this? I don't know. My feeling is they're going to go multiverse route. That it is and what they may even do, who knows? They may even connect, although that would be hard because he has all that technology.
No, I would even hate to use the word multiverse because that assumes that we're going to need to collapse it at some point.
We got a lot of super chats here I want to get through before. I'm just going to bring Dante on because Dante has thoughts. Dante James. Hey, Dante. How's it going, man?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Dante.
Wow. Ooh,
do you hear me?
Hot. Yeah.
Oh, am I?
Your mic is, back off.
Your mic is really
sorry about that. Yeah, I
turn down the gain. You got to turn down
I had to run from one meeting to the next, so
it's all good.
Wasn't sure how hot this mic is. Better?
Yeah. Turn down. You got to turn down the gain because you're blowing.
Got it. Okay.
Better. There you go. Cool. Yeah, better. But
all
also,
right.
Dante is
maybe a little bit.
Dante James, one of our best writers at filmthreat.com, blowing up with he's not unafraid to express his opinions. But also, you have a lot of opinions on pop culture, comic book movies. You're legit comic book nerd. So I'm curious your thoughts on Cavill's return, James Gunn, and what's his name, Peter Safran being co-CEOs now of DC Movies. Any thoughts into this? And we've got a lot of super chats.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. And To be honest with you, I was one of those people who never understood why Cavill was even being I guess not thought about. Like at what point did they say, hey, you know what, Cavill's not our guy? Because to me, he's been okay. Look, there's Christopher Reeve, and then there's Henry Cavill, and I feel like those are two both definitive Supermans. And I feel like to not use Cavill, and I get it. Maybe they were trying to reshuffle the DC universe, and maybe they're trying to cinematic universe and trying to try different things because what they were doing wasn't working. You know, I mean, people love Zack Snyder's Justice League, but they hated Joss Whedon's. And unfortunately, that's the one that counted because that's the one that hit the theater, right? So they probably looked at that and said, well, maybe Cavill's not our guy, which was weird because he seems like the only choice. So him being back to me just seems like a logical decision. Like, why wouldn't he be Superman?
Right. We've got over 400 people now watching us live. Please, if you're click that like button, smash that like button, slap that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed.
Oh,
wow.
That clip never gets old, man.
It doesn't get old. I love it.
It never gets old.
It's so good. Yeah, I love it. Now let's go to there's a lot of chat questions here. We're going to get Dante is going to be reviewing the greatest lie ever sold. We're going to have a discussion about that after we complete this discussion. So I don't know how long you have to stay on, Dante.
Oh, no, I'm good.
You're good. Okay, good. Let's go to these super chats. Road Rager for $1.99. So with Cavill, Ryan Reynolds back as Green Lantern?
No.
Probably not.
Absolutely not.
I actually think that Zack Snyder's vision for Green Lantern was going to be much better with Jon Stewart. I thought that would just be a better, and you saw like stills of that leak out. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I don't think Ryan Reynolds is bad. I think Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Let's just say
the only way I can see Ryan Reynolds reprising that role is if James Gunn himself directed the movie.
Right.
And then I think he'd be a little bit more apt to do it. But personally, I don't want to see him back as Green Lantern ever again.
Yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds is kind of falling into the smartass kind of characters in a good way. And I don't think Green Lantern really falls into that. I think it'll be totally wrong at that point.
And also,
and Hal Jordan was never that kind of character anyway. So it was just completely off tone.
Yeah, but I think that also they're doing Free Guy too. I loved Free Guy.
Yeah.
Free Guy was one of the first movies. It's just like theatrical only. I saw that in a theater in Michigan when I was back visiting family. And it was amazing just to be back in the theater. That was when, do you remember they're like you couldn't get seats like close to anybody?
Oh yeah. Good times. Good times.
Remember all that? I will never forget all that.
It was even weirder when you were on a date with somebody, right? And they had to sit like a seat away from you.
Cardinal Sin for $9.99. Thank you for that. Your support of the channel. Hail Film Threat. Hail Chris Gore. Hail Alaning. And I will say, you know what? Hail Dante. I'm just going to add that. And also, by the way, to remind people, Cancel Dante is the name of Dante's. It's going to be Dante's new YouTube channel.
Coming soon.
Follow Dante on Twitter and Instagram. There's
at
some great
Cancel Dante.
At Cancel Dante, but there's some really great photos. Dante has a good time. That's all I can say is like scroll through his feed. You always look like you're having a good time.
I try.
Bishop Cruz for $5. Man of Steel remains the most misunderstood comic book movie. It is a hopeful movie, but it doesn't paper over Clark becoming Superman. I agree. It was, if you look on it, it's kind of Batman Begins, right? Like Batman, by the end, he was Batman, but it took, there are growing pains in that. So I agree with you, Bishop Cruz.
And also what people don't seem to realize too is that Man of Steel aged pretty well. Like if you go back and watch it right now, to me, it aged very well. Like I feel like, I gave a shit when it first came out a little bit. I still think Cavill was amazing, but that movie is aged very well.
Okay, I'll watch it again and we'll see if my opinion changes.
It stands up. It stands up for sure. Play the High Note for $5. New Superman film written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah, I don't see that as definitive. I see news stories about him not ever wanting to go to Superman again, but that could certainly change. But I will say, Christopher McQuarrie would be a great director and writer for Superman. He cares so much about story and so much about reaching a broad audience, especially with Mission Impossible. He would be the perfect guy to take over Superman.
Now we have 420 people watching live right now, so no new people should come in and no one should leave.
Yeah,
Let's try to keep it at 420.
Right at 420.
Okay.
420.
Here we go. A Chernabog for $1.99, who's also a member. Seen Battle of the Super Sons, animated DC gets it. I have not seen that one, but the animated DC films I've seen have been very good. I'm really impressed. I feel like they understand the characters really well. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of an HBO Max subscription. HBO Max, even though their user interface is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like Netflix, I think, is great. Netflix is probably the best. But HBO Max, those are my two favorite streaming services.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think,
Yeah.
honestly, to me personally, I think HBO Max is the best streaming service. And to talk about the comment there, DC animated has been killing it for a long time now.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, man, like their animes have been great.
Yeah. Sean Z, Comic Construct for $1.99. People like Jessica Gao are ruining Marvel. You talking about the She-Hulk showrunner? Dante, you loved She-Hulk.
Loved it. I mean, you know, it had all that feminist power and woman girl power, and God, dude, no. You know what's really sad though is that the comic book She-Hulk is so much more feminist and so better written. Like it is feminist in the right way, you know, where she can be attractive and embrace her sexuality and embrace, you know, being smart and embrace being around men without insulting them. Like, I don't understand why it was so hard to transfer that She-Hulk to film. Like it was written out for you. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't you just transfer what we got in the comic to the show? I don't get me started on that show, man. I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like comics to Marvel now is irrelevant.
Completely.
They could just get rid of all the comic books now. They don't need to do comic books anymore. We'll just do TV and movies from now on.
Well, and their sales are showing it. Their comic sales are deplorable, man. So I mean,
and they don't care
they don't care at all.
Doesn't make enough money, even though some comic book creators can make $4.5 million making a single issue of a comic book.
Yeah, crazy. Buford T. Justice for $19.99. Some Like It Rare, one of the greatest movies ever made. Down with the Vegans. Have you guys seen the new sitcom Reboot? Any thoughts? Couple things. One, Some Like It Rare is great. It's a French horror comedy that I saw at the Alamo Draft House. I believe it's playing at draft houses, but it's also available on demand. So I'm glad that you saw that. It's about a butcher shop. They discover that these annoying vegans, they start selling vegan meat because it tastes delicious because they only eat plants.
Does it?
There you go. I have not seen the new sitcom Reboot. Has anyone else?
Have not seen it.
Okay. But thank you for that, Buford T. Justice. Thank you for your support. Gabriel Quiroga for $5. I'm pumped for James Gunn. I'm pumped for Henry Cavill. This feels like the beginning of DC Renaissance. Could DC pull ahead of Marvel with this change? Yes.
Yeah.
If they do a good combination of, I know that we've got the Penguin series coming out on HBO Max. That's in the planning stages. I don't know how much stuff is going to get canceled or changed, but I think it's gonna. This is not going to be an instant thing. This is going to be a couple years in the future.
Because we got to get through Flash for one thing.
We got to get through Flash and
Shazam.
Yeah, and Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yeah.
And then also James Gunn is he's got to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 3. My assumption is they're done shooting.
It's in post-production and next year. And I can't wait for that press tour to go on and see him with his Marvel gang.
Some more comments here. We've just got a few more comments before we're going to get to our review here. $2 from Matthew Hammond. Dante is looking dapper in his red sunglasses.
So there is sort of a story behind the glasses. Normally I don't, wear these, but I come in very dark on film. So like I have all this lighting set up in my studio. and it's literally blinding me. Like if I didn't have these on, like I'd be squinting, and it's a whole mess. So I had to put these on just to kind of take out some of the shine from the lights.
What's wrong with squinting?
Hey, I'm not trying to be racist here, man. Whoa.
Oh my god. Okay. And Bonzo Kilborn says, "Cancel Dante sounds like an Italian pasta dish." Oh, cancel Dante. Yeah, oh, Dante. I don't know.
I like that actually.
There you go. Patrick Lemire is a member. Bring back truth, justice, and the American way. Taking it out did not help overseas box office a bit.
I agree with that 100%.
Portland 182, Jim coming in hot with the memes. Love that. Now finally joined our Discord. Alan spurning Disney dollars for DCs.
Yeah, because I think the Disney dollars will be the DC dollars will be higher soon than the Disney dollars.
It's like cryptocurrency, right?
Want biscuits. I just don't see Gunn overpowering corporate culture. People thought Star Wars would go to a whole other level when Disney bought it. It sucked hard. But I feel like there are certain directors, certain filmmakers. Christopher Nolan is one. I think James Gunn is one. They're filmmakers that know how to work within the studio system, but work around a lot of woke nonsense. So
yeah, and if you prove yourself, if you make the studio a boatload of money, they're going to back off and let you do what you need to do. And this whole James Gunn thing, this is what we were saying about, phase 3 Marvel. The reason Marvel was succeeding is because they had a person guiding things and not a corporation. And it feels like that this is exactly the right recipe for DC.
And James Gunn is a legit nerd. I mean, his comic knowledge is vast.
Yeah.
And a couple quick things, he also started in indie film. So James Gunn started, he wrote Romeo and Juliet. He also puts Lloyd Kaufman. He put Lloyd Kaufman in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And because Lloyd Kaufman, we interviewed him here on the Film Threat YouTube channel. You can look up our interview with Lloyd Kaufman. He confirmed he is in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes.
So there you go. But he came from indie film. And also look up a book. I've recommended this before. It's on Amazon. It's called The Toy Collector. And it is such a nerdy book. And it involves, no one's going to remember this but me. There's a toy that I had as a kid called the Strange Change Machine. You can look it up. Look up the Strange Change Machine. It is the weirdest toy. It got on a list of the most dangerous toys ever made. I had this toy when I was a kid. It's basically a hot plate that you gave a kid. I was like 5 years old when I got this toy. In the 70s. And what it did was it took these little cubes, you put it in the heat of this hot plate, and then they sort of unfurl into like dinosaurs and alien creatures and whatnot.
Oh, I do remember that.
Oh, dude.
Right, yeah, I never had it.
I almost burned down my house when I was a kid because I put like other toys in there. Like I had these little like army soldiers, and I put them in there and the plastic melted and burned on fire. It was like, just look it up. Look up Strange Change Machine.
Oh, dude, back then, back in the 70s, they didn't care about kids at all. Right? They made all kind of horrible shit for kids to play with.
Shrinky dinks.
All that stuff. But so the book is about that toy, or the toy figures into the story. Just recommend that book. Womp Biscuits goes on to say, I disagree, Chris. It's a major corporation. He'll end up being up against, but we'll wait and see. Womp Biscuits, I hear what you're saying. Look at what James Gunn has done in his career. He has been able to work within a company, one of the short list of filmmakers that seems to be able to work within a corporate system, but look, Chris Nolan works out of his house. His garage is effectively his office. I know this because I talked to Wally Pfister, who works with Chris Nolan on a lot of his films, and he literally was doing like the Dark Knight storyboards in his garage. Works. So a lot of people, it's really sort of like coming up with a system, being consistent and whatnot. I will say that Disney, I believe, is lost. Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, they're lost. Those are gone. I feel like when you look at Zaslav, the way he's been running WB, canceling Batgirl, like a lot of the things he's doing, like these are moves to like signal like, hey, at the end of the day, we have to make things that make money.
Yeah.
We have to make things that make money. Otherwise, we're not serving our stockholders.
But that's the thing, though. James Gunn knows how to make money. It's not that he's just like this. Yeah, he's quirky and he's a nerd, but the guy also knows how to make, big budget movies.
And I'll say this about the leadership I'll say this about the leadership. Warner Brothers fears failure. They do not want to lose any more money. Disney at this point does not fear failure. They can lose a lot more money. They can make a lot more bad decisions and it won't hurt them. But for Warner Brothers, they need to make money.
Well, you know why? And I'll tell you why. Disney knows for every Marvel girl, for every She-Hulk, there's going to be a Black Panther 2. There's going to be another Avengers movie. There's going to be another Doctor Strange movie. So they know they can fail with a lot of these shows because they know the movies will make it back up.
Yeah. The built-in audience is large enough to sustain a lot of failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just a few more to get through here. Road Rager for $1.99 says Gunn at DC, bring Pratt over to play Booster Gold.
I completely agree with that. Yes.
That would be awesome. Let's see. Leroy Russell for $5, who's also a member, says men better at combat is not a social construct. It's science. Enough with cringy girl power. We are over it. What, you don't like the MCU? Come on. You don't like the most powerful Avenger is Captain Marvel.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And Randall Orser just became a YouTube member. And you know what? For that, you're going to get a reward. What is that reward? Well, let's see. It's this round.
And by the way, I will never be able to jerk it again to that Phoebe Cates clip just because of what you did, man.
Because I will be in your mind.
Haunting me.
Winking at you. Oh, you ready? No, I won't go further with that gag.
Dale Smokone, who's a member, the other guy that's going to be heading DC Films along with Gunn, forgot the name. It's Peter
Safran.
Peter Safran concerns me. He has said some shit about not listening to fans, and he also is fighting for Amber Heard to stay on board. I don't know about that. Look, at some point, nearly everyone who works in Hollywood has said something stupid on either social media or in articles. And I'll also say,
been misquoted.
Misquoted. And I will say this, I do believe that the press sets them up. The most journalists these days, they're not so much gotcha questions, but they're leading questions. Like, how gay is the new Thor movie? Super gay. Like, was anyone asking that?
It's clickbait. It's all they need, the clickbait question. Right. And the other thing is, again, they're reporting directly to David Zaslav. He's under pressure to make money, and if he doesn't produce, we've seen that he's fired people for not producing.
Good. I think that's
and honestly, and the way the culture is right now is like there can't be dissension. Like I'm sure there are many people who worked on She-Hulk who knew it was some shit. They knew it was shit, but they couldn't say a word because there can't be dissension in these companies anymore. There can't be that there can't be that lone voice anymore.
Okay, we're just a few more left. Patrick Lemire is a member. Studios must reinstitute multi-month windows between theatrical and streaming and throw a physical release in between. Disc sales are a great revenue stream they walked away from. It's crazy to me how much money Hollywood is leaving on the table by not leaning into theatrical because it increases the value of a film. It means something. A film comes out, then you've got the digital, the physical media release, then the VOD release, and then 6 months later, it's on streaming. Fine. But because they keep shortening the window, what that's doing is it's devaluing the films. They're not special anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's been proven. You put out a good movie, we will show up.
Right.
And they blame us for not showing up when they should be blaming themselves for not putting out good movies.
Solomon Thornton just threw us a buck. I think maybe you were in the middle of writing a super chat. Who knows? Ryan Landis says we need great comedy movies back too.
Yes.
Movies that take a chance regardless of Twitter's feelings. Well, Twitter's feelings. Did you go to Elon Musk's? Did you see Elon Musk's Twitter page?
Yes, it's amazing.
Okay, did you see what he did?
Not recently.
Okay, so what he did was he walked. I'm just gonna bring it up because why not? He walked right into the Twitter offices. Let me see.
Was he carrying pink envelopes with him?
Yeah, I got it. Okay, here I gotta show it here.
He was carrying something.
He literally brought in a kitchen sink.
Yeah, I saw that right before I hopped on. I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, how crazy is that? That he
This guy gives no fucks.
So there you go.
So it's official.
He's back. He's back. Hang on, I gotta put. But like, yeah, he literally brought in a kitchen sink. He's said that he's going to lay off about 75% of the staff.
Good.
Like all.
And he's probably moving it to Texas too.
It's great news. It's great news. I think it's smart. I think it's going to change the conversation in the country. I think it's going to make it so that a small percentage of people who are either victimized or they're the cry bullies. You know, I would say that's how I would describe a lot of cry bullies. I think that's going to start to go away. It's one of those things where, you know, look, I feel like, yes, you need to sort of get basically just to even the playing field and dial down the rhetoric rather than giving the people, like, you know, the small percentage of people all the oxygen in the room.
And most importantly, I won't get suspended as much as I did before.
Oh, that's right.
I get suspended on Twitter like every other month. So.
Oh, no, God, that's right. You've been suspended a lot of times.
I get suspended all the time on Twitter.
What? Okay, we'll get into it. It's like Fear the Turtle for 5 says, does Disney release its streaming numbers? I'm curious of the viewership trend between WandaVision, when people were excited for MCU TV, to now. I believe that you're seeing these MCU shows get diminishing returns. So although I do think a certain percentage of the audience was hate watching She-Hulk because it's like, this is so bad and it's only 25 minutes. Why not? But yeah, I think a lot of people. Who can?
But you know what? I think there was also some hope in there. I think people kept watching because they thought, well, maybe it'll get better, But then by episode 6, you're like, nah, it's not going to get better.
No. It was episode 4 where I was just like, what the hell was that?
Yeah. I mean, it started strong and just went downhill when it should have gotten better than it was. And
Solomon Thornton says it would be epic if the DCEU uses the Bruce Timm animated universe as a blueprint. That would be awesome if they did that. That's because I do think that it was said so often, like, why don't the animated series team, why don't they, make the movies? Because the movies, look, I have issues with Batman Returns. I have issues with 89 Batman. Love Michael Keaton as Batman, but I have issues. The hero's journey in the first 89 Batman is Jack Napier's journey. It's not Batman. Batman's not even the lead character in the film, if you ask me.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We can have a debate about that, but only 3 more comments here, and we're going to pivot our conversation. Ryan Landis.
We had that one.
Oh yeah, we had that one. Yes, but I agree with that. I strongly agree. Shucksy, I'm sick of the dark, gritty, nihilistic shit. I want some positivity in my entertainment. That is my whole point about Superman coming back. Superman was hopeful, positive. You went into the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, or at least the first 2, and came out like in a good mood, hopeful, and like it's like look at this great like a symbol to look up to like aspire to be. We're not perfect beings, right? But we can aspire to be better people, and that's what I think Superman represented, at least back in the old school Richard Donner Superman movies.
And we were filming John Williams soundtrack to it as well.
Yeah. Oh my God, that soundtrack.
But I think that's also why Shazam did pretty well too, is because it was a lot more hopeful, a lot more brighter,
and fun.
Yeah, I think that's why kids liked it a lot more as well.
Matt Ray, look at Richard Donner's Superman, which was released at the height of the malaise of the 1970s. Superman should always be about hope, and his movies should focus on escapism instead of activism. Bingo. That's a great comment to end on. But,
isn't that where the Christopher Reeves series went wrong, though? I think at the end he wanted to get rid of all nuclear weapons, and so it began political.
Well, that was just a bad movie, period. Not just because of the message.
Right. But it was you saw it. It was heading in that direction of needing to be political rather than being
Right.
hopeful.
Well, Dante, I love the whole look with all the
This is
glasses. I
going to
think
be
it's great.
this is going to be the background and the look, at least for right now. So
So is the channel live? Like, what's your
not
status?
yet. Like I said, it's coming soon, and I believe in about a week or two it should be live. So because I'm still working out some things, but yeah, it's coming. So finally, I've been talking about this shit for the past couple of months, but I think now I'm kind of in a place where I'm ready to go and risk it all, man.
All right, well, I can't wait. Oh, and Fur to the Future says they haven't mentioned the Brandon Routh one time. LMAO. So
Poor guy.
That my ass up. No, just look, that was an attempt to basically recreate, I believe, the Christopher Reeve Superman. I have problems with that movie. It was like a copy of a copy of a copy of the Donner Superman.
Was Donner involved in that at all, or was it just
I'm not sure, but and I like Brandon Routh as the character.
Oh, he's a great guy. Love him.
They really diminished his screen time, and I'm told that they thought that he wasn't really giving a great performance. That was the rumor. I like Brandon Routh. I think when you see him in things, clearly they were wrong. What can you say? Yeah, I mean, we're not part of this conversation. That movie was like a one-off, and
I mean, its mistake was trying to continue the Donner series,
right?
Without putting some mojo behind it or some energy behind it.
But let's switch gears here. Please stick around. We've got a lot more to discuss. We'll probably get back to the Superman conversation. But one of the things that we like to do here at Film Thread is we like to review the movies that a lot of others do not. And Dante was with us when we talked about Matt Walsh's movie, What is a Woman? Where literally Dante wrote the review for What is a Woman. And also, I think we were literally one of like only 5 media outlets that reviewed the film.
Yeah.
And what I would say there is that I think it's disappointing to me how cowardly some of our colleagues are who talk about movies. Like, look, if you don't politically align or agree with necessarily the subject, you can give it a bad review, right? Or you can pick the movie apart. And what's really distressing is to see, I'm part of an organization called the CCA, which is Critics' Choice Awards. And I vote for that awards event, which is in January. I think it airs on the CW. But we should be reviewing all films at Film Threat. And by the way, we posted this thing. I want to go to our Instagram real quick before Dante gets into it. I want to go to our Instagram. We posted something on Instagram. It was I was at a movie theater. Let me see. I'm gonna. Is that like? Let me just share screen here. I was at a movie theater, seeing a movie, and this movie called Call Jane was there. There was a poster, which was pretty awesome, and it says triumphantly celebrates the tenacity and power of women. Now, I did not write that. Was that the AMC?
That was Norm. Norm wrote that.
Norm wrote it. Okay, so we have a lot of writers at Film Threat. We've got about 30 people who freelance write for Film Thread, each of them contributing about 4 reviews a month. Alan does a lot of reviews. Alan does a good chunk. So we've got maybe between 150 or 200 reviews going up on filmthreat.com every month, right? We have our staff of writers, very diverse, not in the ways that Hollywood would say are diverse, but diverse when it comes to thought. We have a lot of people who, and so look, I didn't write this, Alan didn't, but I love that Film Threat's on the poster. Make of it what you will, but you're gonna like some of the writers at Film Threat. You're gonna think, oh, I like that guy, and some people are gonna say, oh, I don't like that person. Whatever. You're free to have your opinion about our reviews, but it is in true diversity, and by that I mean, Film Threat is, and I have maintained, politically agnostic. Okay, we will review films on all sides of the political aisle because that is my job. If I'm really going to call myself a journalist, my job should be to be impartial and to bring in a truly diverse group of writers to represent all types of opinions. And so we're being shit on here on our Instagram, people saying like, I thought this looked really clever. Then I realized it wasn't a joke. I love these. Okay. Looks about as fun as getting my eyelashes pulled out with the fire. Sorry for the negativity. Thanks, Hollywood. Meh. So people were kind of shitting on the quote from the poster. Like, look, we write a lot of reviews around the site. People pick what quotes they pick, whatever. But all I'm saying is you can expect various opinions on Film Thread. That's just the way it is. And so there you are. But on that note, what I want to do is I want to get, because we'll review the films that others won't. We reviewed The Boys in Red Hats, which is a documentary about Nick Sandmann and the boys in Washington, D.C. when they were wearing MAGA hats. And that was totally mischaracterized by the mainstream media, resulting in a lawsuit against CNN that Nick Sandmann and company won. We reviewed What is a Woman? Look on the channel. What is a Woman? Dante was a part of that review. This is a very long-winded introduction because I want to turn it over. I want to turn it over to Dante to get your review of The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, a documentary featuring Candace Owens. And take it away, Dante. We'll discuss.
Yeah, no, you look, Chris, you made a great point where you said, like, our job is to review movies, and regardless of how we feel politically, socially, if we're going to call ourselves a critic, then we got to, kind of put our beliefs aside and do our job, right? So for most people who know me, they know that honestly, in my personal life, I am politically homeless. Like, I can care less about either party. I think Democrats and conservatives are both equally, forgive the word, stupid. And I say that only because, when you veer too far either way, you're begging to be led, right, by people who will take advantage of you. But I don't personally care for Candace Owens. There's a lot of issues I have with her. But with that said, I went into this movie completely blank. I went in saying, you know what? I'm going to base it on its merit, not who the person who made it, because I just want to see if she has something real to say about this topic, right? And the topic being Black Lives Matter. The biggest problem I have with this film, I say the thing that bugs me the most is the fact that it's an 80-minute film. It's an hour and 20 minutes. She spends 50 of those minutes smearing George Floyd. George Floyd, what happened, and it's terrible. And I agree that everybody overreacted. And when I say that, his death was not an overreaction. That was messed up. What happened, and it shouldn't have happened that way, but it did. But everyone took that and ran with their own agenda with it, right? So what Candace Owens did was right after the man died, she made this Instagram video where she is basically calling out all of his faults and why we shouldn't feel bad about this guy dying the way he died. And this is literally like maybe 2 weeks after the guy died. So she got a lot of backlash for it. And she even states it in the film that she took it personally. So I feel like this whole movie was about her lashing back at the people who lashed out at her for that stupid Instagram video, right? See, for me personally, I have a lot of issues with Black Lives Matter. There is a lot of dirt that she could have uncovered that she didn't even touch on. And if you're going to make a movie about Black Lives Matter called The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, then I'm expecting you to do a deep dive. I'm expecting to hear, not just about Patrisse Cullors. Everyone knows about her and the money she scammed and all of that. And to Candace's credit, she did, show some things that I didn't even know, which was how Black Lives Matter was funneling money from or collecting money for the Black victims, or for the victims of the families, and taking that money and transferring it into trans organizations, because the woman she's dating or engaged to is a trans, or I guess a trans man now. I don't know. But that was eye-opening and that was shocking. But the problem is like she spends about 10 minutes on that. and the whole movie's about smearing George Floyd. And regardless of how I feel about Candace Owens, I wanted to actually go in. I was actually hoping that this was going to be a very, exposing documentary, and I wanted it to be like, okay, we're putting this whole organization on blast. But it just felt very light. It felt like the kiddie pool of documentaries. It felt like she didn't do much research at all into Black Lives Matter. Like nothing I couldn't have found on Google on the first page. And honestly, she's not charismatic enough of a person to carry a documentary that's so focused on her. And I felt like that's what it was. It's like it's more like, hey, this is why you should like me, instead of let me expose what's going on in this organization. So as a documentary, to me, it failed. Whereas I'm not a big fan of Matt Walsh either, but I still gave What Is a Woman a great review because it was well done. It was informative. He actually comes off good on screen, and he actually has something to say in a lot of areas regarding what is a woman and the trans situation. But I feel like Candace Owens didn't do a deep dive, and it was shallow. It was hollow, and honestly, I was bored. Like there was a point where I was just listening to it, and I started playing Overwatch because I was bored. So it just didn't have the weight I wanted this documentary to have, and it doesn't have the weight that she is promoting it to have, because she's making it sound like she exposes all the secrets of Black Lives Matter, and she doesn't do
that. Dante, I also saw The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. And we talked about What Is a Woman. We had not only did you review it like on the website, but on our YouTube channel, but also we had a really good discussion after. And I like to get many perspectives whenever I look at any issue, right? And like you, I don't consider myself necessarily politically homeless, but more independent. Let's say that, like independent, where sometimes I voted on one side of the aisle, sometimes the other. I usually vote for the team that is the least crazy. And
that's a good policy.
Yeah, exactly. The least crazy you look, and I think everybody knows who the least crazy side is these days. Look, it's the way it is. The least, so there you go. Anyway, so I also saw The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. And also, I love documentaries. Give me a deep dive into a topic. And actually, I don't have as many problems with, easy for me to say, I don't have as many problems with Candace Owens as you do. I like sometimes when she does like a woke takedown, like Candace Owens destroys woke student. Like, okay.
I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So
exactly. But I had high hopes for this documentary, and like you, I was disappointed. Because it didn't go the deeper layers.
No.
So some of the things I'm just going to echo what you said. It doesn't go the deeper layers. It spends way too much time on George Floyd and his background, interviewing like some like old roommates in this and what like everybody knew he had a criminal record.
Yeah, now, we all know that. No one is saying that George Floyd died on the cross for us, right? Like most black, and I feel like conservatives had this weird like idea that we put George Floyd on this pedestal, where it's like, no, we know this dude was messed up. It's just messed up the way he died, in a public execution. That's the issue we have. Not saying that this guy was a great guy or anything,
Well, he got a statue for one thing.
Well,
yeah, but you know why that happened, though.
Yeah, I know why that happened.
But it's weird that like after the fact, it seemed like the media was fueling this. There's this sort of like, he's suddenly turned into a saint, and I think that was, I mean,
but again, that was the media, not black folks, and I think that's the issue I have with Candace Owens, is she tries to make it seem like black folks had put him on this pedestal, and that's not what we did at all. That's what the media did.
And so also, as just coming from a filmmaker perspective, right? Because I made a documentary, working on another documentary. There was a clear thing whenever they showed the George Floyd stuff, they play this like almost like scary music. So
yes,
like scary music, George Floyd. Then they showed, this is the thing that like I noticed that they did this little part on Derek Chauvin,
Oh yeah,
and it's
I
like
didn't even bring that up.
I mean, the Saint Darren Chauvin.
No, they showed Derek Chauvin. They talk about Derek Chauvin. They interview people who knew him, and
His mom.
They literally make him out to be the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
no person is one extreme or the other. You know what? I'm sure he was like, look, I'm sure the guy had some problems, right? But he wasn't a saint either, as this movie tries to do. The other thing is Candace Owens as the presenter of all this. I think that she is probably the wrong person to tell this story.
She is absolutely the wrong person, and she even knows that in the film. She said it many times that if she uses her real name, no one will talk to her, and that's because of the reputation she built.
Right.
So, I just say this about Derek Chauvin, but the way she presented it was, yeah, he's this saint. He's this really quiet person. He's a nice guy, but then they keep saying he's a quiet person. He doesn't say a whole lot. I mean, this is like the classic, guy who sits in a room and stews on.
Yes, exactly.
And the other thing is what stuck out to me about this entire documentary. It just felt like a book report, Candace, especially regarding the George Floyd stuff. She went out, got all the evidence that supported her side, and then presented it to us, and that's what we got. To me, honestly, the what I found the most interesting about this documentary was the whole Black Lives Matter and the business and the scam that it was, and
that's the part you spent 20 minutes on. Instead of doing a whole film about it, it was basically the last 20 minutes she talked about that.
And like you said, there's so much you can talk about with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, she spent way too much time on George Floyd, way too much time just trying to pick apart every aspect of him and his life. Talk to the people who owned the liquor store to kind of exonerate them, where the guy brought out like a box of fake counterfeit, bills.
The guy acted like. The guy acted like he was high on meth, or high on fentanyl, which he was. I mean, if anything, George Floyd comes out a little more relatable in the sense of here's a drug addict who's trying to feed his habit.
But here's the thing: if you watch that video as well, he wasn't acting crazy in the store. He just went in to buy something, and he had a fake 20.
Yeah,
and make like him dying for that reason is ridiculous because I've had fake 20s before where I didn't know I had a fake 20 on me, or I've lent someone money and they paid me back in a 20 and I didn't know it was fake. So I go to a store and the guy marked it and said, "Hey, this is fake, by the way." There was no one called the police because I passed a fake 20. So the whole situation is just bizarre to me how it all unfolded.
Well,
but that's
to counter that though. It's the toxicology report that I found interesting is like why no one talks about that because based on that report, the stress, the elevated heart rate level, that could have definitely led into a fentanyl overdose.
But here's the problem with that. Sure, it could have, and I don't want to make this a George Floyd conversation, but it doesn't help when a 200 and something pound guy has his knee on your neck and leaning his full weight into it. You know what I mean? Like, especially when number one, you're already handcuffed. Your hands are behind your back handcuffed, and two officers are already holding your legs down. Why did he need his knee on the guy's neck?
And he's not struggling at all.
Not just that. Did they not recognize that he was having a medical issue? That to me, I don't know why no one. They should have called an ambulance right away. He's obviously he's not getting anywhere with being handcuffed. He needed medical attention clearly. But again, I don't want to focus.
I don't want to make this about George Floyd, but the problem is that she made it about George Floyd in this documentary for 50 of the 80 minutes.
That's the other thing you brought up, Alan. You said that it feels like a book report. Like I just feel like the reporting was weak. Like it's like, look, okay, we've heard about, and this is in the mainstream media. We've heard about BLM's mishandling of the funds that they were given. Her entire premise for this is about the tax returns, right? Mm-hmm. So the tax returns was her guide into, talking about this topic. And that to me would have been the more interesting thing. Having said that, by the way, it's pretty good. If you go into any charitable organization, not this egregious, the salaries of people who run charitable organizations would boggle your mind.
Oh, it's nuts.
$500,000, $1 million salaries. That's why I'm like really suspicious about any charitable organization I give anything to, because I'm looking at, is this going to just pay some $500,000 salary for some CEO? It's
Right.
BS. So
Yeah, not to reveal my political affiliation, but I was a born again evangelical in the 80s. And I lived through Jim and Tammy, Jimmy Swaggart.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I got burned by some of them. And you realize that even in the name of God, people are ripping people off. People are taking advantage of people who want to do good, want to do right, or who need help. And Black Lives Matter is the left version of what the right was doing in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, and I feel like this needs to be said, by me talking about, Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about the organization, not the movement, right? Like, I feel like there are good-hearted people who think that, they're doing the right thing by saying Black Lives Matter, and, and they are against police brutality. And we're not talking about, the common man on the street here. We're talking about the people within that organization who bought mansions. I remember Sean King, like that guy, he blocked me on Twitter. He blocked me on Twitter faster than like Joe Biden forgets his name. Like it's that, no, really, like because I went after him. Like I was like, I would ask him about the donation money that he would collect, and he basically got tired of me and blocked me. And I noticed this happened with a few other members of, and this is like years ago. This was like way before George Floyd. So this situation has been going on for a long time, where money is being funneled into their own personal accounts, and they're just now being called on it. You know what I mean? And so she had years to go back to like find out, like, where did this person get this? Where did this person get this? Right? Like, there's no reason why all these people should have all these lush houses if they're just like working for a charity. But she didn't do that deep dive, and she gave us very surface level stuff. And like I said, the one bit of information she gave us, which I thought was kind of mind blowing, was the whole trans thing, where she funneled money from Black victims to all these trans organizations throughout Canada and the U.S. And I thought that was pretty eye opening.
That's not what people were giving their money for. That's
at all. That money was supposed to go to the victims of the families. I'm sorry, the families of the victims,
into the communities,
into the community, and they never received a dime or very little of it.
Yeah, that aspect was the strongest aspect, but you're right, Dante. She spends the least amount of time on it, and then the other thing is, she's not as like we talked about. What is a woman? Matt Walsh, he's this sort of dry wit, almost like a Stephen Wright. Comedian. He's almost partially a comedian, and I think that's an easier message to be able to get across a serious point, is to use humor. And Candace Owens, I'm sorry to say, she's just not as likable as like a Matt Walsh.
No,
Matt Walsh being very awkward, kind of like, but also like sticking to his guns on things. And Candace Owens just kind of made it about herself and kind of like redeeming her social media image. And I feel like, and also the movie's short. It's like an hour 20. And look, so we've talked about other, look, we're one of the films are at one of the few outlets to actually review and talk about. And we've got, Alan, could you bring up Dante's review is actually on filmthreat.com. We're one of the few outlets that actually cover some of the content coming from Daily Wire, whether it be Gina Carano's new movie, or the Western that she did, or Shut In, which is a thriller, not political at all. I mean, they read the Bible. There's like biblical messages in Shut In, a thriller. And Matt Walsh's documentary, very controversial. I know he's doing a college tour right now.
Well, and we know why, man. It's like most critics today are cowards, and they're either cowards or they have something to lose, which means they won't get all the access that they get if they actually spoke out or if they actually did their job the way they're supposed to do their job.
What did you get? Can you scroll down, Alan? What did Dante ultimately? It's 2 pages, but
he gave it a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, yes. Now, Dante, you're going to be accused of being a white supremacist. I'm pretty sure after this comes out. After it's revealed,
that hasn't happened yet.
Well, you know what's really funny though is, I think most people who don't like Candace Owens will say, good, she deserves a 4. the problem is that I didn't want to give her a 4 because I don't like her. I gave her the 4 because that's what the documentary earned. And I feel like I almost wish the movie was better so that the people who need to hear the message will hear it and watch it. But we never got that movie. We never got that documentary, unfortunately. Because I think a lot more people, and I'm going to say this, especially Black people, need to hear about how twisted and messed up this organization is, at least from the inside. You know what I mean? And the people who she wanted to hear it are never going to watch it. So she's basically speaking to her own echo chamber when she made this documentary.
Well, that's kind of the issue I have with a lot of the Daily Wire content. It's only available on Daily Wire. You have to have a Daily Wire subscription to be able to see it. It's not available on iTunes and what. Like, I get the strategy. You have to go to the Daily Wire to get these documentaries. There's an interesting, also, we haven't talked about it on the YouTube channel, but Michael Knowles did a series on Fauci that I thought was it was good, but I wanted it to be better. It should have just been a movie. Right. With the material in there. But
well, that's why I don't necessarily call what these movies are. Maybe What Is a Woman, definitely, but the other ones, they feel more like exposés than they are, documentary movies.
Right.
I agree with that as well. Yeah. Like it seems like it's something that they should just have on their site for free. Yeah. Because look, if you want more people to review it, right? Number one, most liberal critics aren't going to review their movies. But if you want at least more people to see it, either put it on iTunes, like you said, some kind of streaming service outside of their own, or make it free. Yeah. But otherwise, it's going to be very hard for people to give money to the Daily Wire, knowing their political leanings.
The Black audience may not be big Daily Wire subscribers.
That's what I'm saying is, I think that these movies are an important part of the discussion. This one, for me, failed. I mean, Greatest Lie Ever Sold. Greatest Lie Ever Told. Why did I say sold? I keep saying.
No, I think it is sold, right?
No, it's Greatest Lie Ever Told.
Right there in the background.
Greatest Lie Ever Told. There's a movie by Morgan Spurlock called The Greatest Movie Ever Sold. This is The Greatest Lie Ever Told. Oh my God, we've got it wrong in the banner.
I'll fix it.
Can you fix that, Alan? The Greatest Lie Ever Told. That's my mistake. I take full responsibility. It's The Greatest Lie Ever Told. But so we should make sure to correct that. But look, I think it's important to for these films to be a part of the conversation, to be a part of the discussion. So it's important. It gets us talking about these issues, but not in an echo chamber. Okay, which is important. So, but look on the front page of Film Threat right now. There you go. Breaking myths. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's about. This one basically takes down the Brazilian president. Very critical of the Brazilian president, who is basically called the Trump of Brazil.
Wait, did they? Okay, Glanuccio says no. It's sold. They changed the title.
Yeah, I thought it was sold.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's in the background.
It's in the background on the graphic. Can you research this?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you, Glanuccio. Thank you for that. But yeah, this on the cover of Film Threat right now. We cover films on all sides of the political spectrum. I think it's important for us.
Where did we get that background? Because it is sold. I'm looking at sold now.
All right, can you change it back, Alan?
Yeah, I'll change it. Dear Lord.
Hey,
and you know what? I mean, it kind of speaks to a bigger problem, I think, at least with our industry, man. It's like at this point, and I know Alan hates this word, but, there are a lot of shills out there, man, and there's people who will give things a good review because they want to keep getting that access. There's people who gave She-Hulk a great review because they want, Disney to invite them to things, and they want, the Comic-Con badges, and they want all these things. So they'll give a terrible, show, movie a great review. They'll avoid other movies because they're controversial and they don't want to have to take a risk and give their real opinion about something, right? So, we're far and away from the days of like Rex Reed and like, Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert. Like we're far beyond that, because I think now critics have gotten used to getting things for being a good boy or a good girl. You know what I mean?
Well, I also think critics don't want Twitter mad at them. And I think corporations don't want Twitter mad at them, and it bothers me because who is Twitter? Why do we care what Twitter thinks? And yet we live and make decisions based on. That's what got James Gunn fired from Marvel, is what Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go to the comments. We have a lot of comments, a lot of questions and comments for you, Dante. I'm going to start at the bottom here. We have a lot. So, and I still have to review Ticket to Paradise, starring George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Well, that sounds really good.
It's a delightful romantic comedy, and I have an opinion. You're not okay. I have thoughts on this movie. You're going to want to hear what I have to say. That'll come later. We've got more than 30 comments here. Let's get through them. Matthew Hammond for 5 says, we need a documentary on the corrupt foundation and nonprofit system and how people use it to launder money and avoid taxes.
They did it on the televangelist.
Look, I heard the Clinton Foundation does so much good in the world. I'm sure there's nothing weird going on. Sean, whenever there's a lot of money involved, I'm always suspicious. Like, why are we sending money to all these other countries? It's like, what are we doing? What do we get? What's why there's no ulterior motive? You know what? Anyways, Sean Z Construct said for $1.99 says if it was on YouTube, they would have deleted it for sure. Dempsey says BLM has as much to do with Black lives as the Patriot Act has to do with patriots.
Good point.
Singe the Cringe. Some people don't understand how the choke by knee is not possible. Try to get them to see video demos like Crowder's. I don't know. I think your mileage may vary on that one. Spidey Sensei 72. I appreciate you guys sending someone to actually review this film since no one else will. Well, that's why we're here. Anarch Kitty 83 says, thank you guys for watching the documentary and providing your thoughts and opinions so I don't have to watch it myself. Or you can watch it and you can form your own opinion. You are welcome.
That is true. Yeah.
Look, my opinion, Dante Allen's, it does not invalidate your opinion. This is a conversation. And, you know, you can hear, I'll tell you my reasons. You can agree or choose to disagree. But we appreciate that comment. Alan Horkin, even legit charities waste a lot of money on awareness instead of, say, for example, cancer research.
Yeah. I mean, 90% is my benchmark. If you can take 10% of my donation, put it to your, you know, administration stuff, but, you know, you give money and it's a bulk of it has to go to the cause.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Agree. Yeah. BMO Better says solid review, guys. Thank you for that. Shucksy. All the review criticism here seems fair. Appreciate that. Bishop Cruz says Owens is a grifter, or at least started as one in Gamergate, but she actually knows how to hustle. Dante, your thoughts on that?
And by the way, yes, she is a grifter. And there are many grifters on both sides of the aisle. Best believe that. There are many liberal grifters as much as there are conservative grifters. There are people who capitalize off of like Black Death. Her being one of them, and there's been many others who I'm not going to name because I don't want to give them the clout. But on both sides, there is just a bunch of grifters who are making money off of our, not just our beliefs, but our pain. You know, like they take something that means something to us and they capitalize on it.
Yeah, money and power is a drug.
Yeah, it's a motivator.
Absolutely. And you told me once, Dante, we're in this whole conversation about wokeness and woke. And woke was a word that was co-opted.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. When we started using the word woke, when I say we, I mean Black folks, it meant nothing. It had nothing to do with what it means now. All woke meant back in the day when we started using it, it just meant, hey, you know, you're going out there, keep a lookout for the cops. That's all woke meant, was like, hey man, stay woke, which means look out for cops, right? That's all it meant. Now woke has taken on a whole life and a movement and meaning, and it's unrecognizable. But then again, that's usually what happens when things get co-opted. You know what I mean? And I could go into a whole thing about that, but just for that particular word, woke didn't mean then what it means now. And what it means now is something that most Black folks want no part of. So
Want Biscuit says Dante is right. When you realize both sides suck and stop supporting them in every way, then and only then are you really politically homeless. Although I really loved what you put in your Twitter bio once about, you sort of had a Thanos analogy for your political views.
Yeah, my thing was, you know, that quote where Thanos talks about balance, perfectly balanced as all things should be. I think that no one should lean too far either way. They got to be balanced, man. Like there's things I'm very liberal about. There's things I'm very conservative about. And I think everyone needs to have that, man. And when you lean too far either way, you're asking to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, the Constitution seems to have things to say about that as well.
VDR says Alan owned a timeshare at Jim Baker's.
Heritage USA.
You'll have to dig up photos, Alan, for that. JK Nonstop. Just watched that doc earlier. Not a fan of Candace, but it was well produced. The brief details of the financials and autonomous zone / St. Floyd Shrine were wild. That's all that was new to me. So, fair point. BMO Better said they did notice the medical issue, but their training told them to hold him in that position on the ground. Okay. Spidey Sensei 72. I never understood why he remained at the store after passing the fake bill. Why not just leave?
Again, no one knows. Like, and I'm not going to claim to know the mind of George Floyd because I have no idea. And look, like I said, I know nothing about the guy outside the fact that he died the way he did. Like, I don't know his personal life. And that's the other thing. Like, that documentary didn't tell me anything about his personal life outside of his roommates, and he had a drug problem. That's all I know.
Yeah. Matthew Hammond for 5 says the red sunglasses should be part of the canceled Dante persona.
You know what?
And
it might have to be because of these lights.
All right. Well, we got some other comments here. I'm just going to put this up. Thunderer's Wrath. Let's be honest. He didn't like Candace's film because she's a race traitor. His comments are obvious and biased. Pick a better reviewer next time, Chris. Well, first of all, I disagree. I've known Dante for, how long we know each other? Like 5-6 years?
A long time, yeah.
Longer than that.
Longer than that, yeah.
I think before I launched Film Threat, because you came to the Film Threat launch party in 2017, back in the day. Dante's awesome. You need to, and also you don't have to agree with someone's opinions. Like, look, there's a lot of people who write at Film Threat. I don't agree with their views, but I want their views represented. Does that make sense? And also, Dante and I are like in alignment with this. I remember seeing him like, hey, you want to review this? Cool. Like, I watch it and I'm like going back and forth like, Dante, this movie's not good.
Let me address the race trader thing though. By the way, I am going to do an episode of my show where I'm going to talk about the differences between a black a black conservative and a coon, because there are two very different things, right? The thing about Candace Owens is this: I don't think she's a race trader. I think she's a grifter, and she's capitalizing on a certain thing, right? It has nothing to do with her politics. I know plenty of Republicans that I'm great friends with. One of my best friends, actually, who he's a firefighter who lives in Colorado. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. Republican his whole life. And, that guy's like a brother to me. It has nothing to do with being a conservative, right? And the race trader thing. Yeah, my problem is that the majority of the money that she makes has to do with bashing dead black people, and that's something that does bug me. But here's the thing: even with that, like I said, I went into this movie blank. I went in I went in wanting it to be good because I wanted BLM exposed. So I just wanted more, and she gave us this elementary, like some kid in 6th grade could have shot it on his iPhone and gave us better information kind of thing. And she just didn't, it wasn't a real documentary is my problem with it.
Yeah, I have the same problems that you had with it, Dante. I just feel like it didn't go the deeper layers it needed to go
at all.
She documented too many of her failures. Like, well, this person won't return my call, or this person won't do this. The one interesting thing was when she was on the phone and she's talking to these organizations that could deliver protesters. That was like, okay, but she just does, and it's one conversation. I'm like, and what are the layers to that? Like she all she did was like, hey, look at this, but she never took anything a deeper layer. And I thought, well, you gotta go deeper layers. Just because they gave money to a certain group, that's not an admission of guilt. She needed to go deeper layers. It really should have also focused on the BLM organization, not like redeeming Derek Chauvin with a weird thing of like, he was nice, he was very quiet. Like literally, there's like 5 people that made the same comment about him, but with like this fanciful, nicer music in the background.
Yeah, it was a completely biased documentary.
Yeah,
and his mom was there to back him up.
Yeah, no,
God bless her. Yeah, I mean, Candace Owens just needs to stay out of the documentary business.
Yeah,
and, I continue your commentaries.
I felt that the "What Is a Woman" documentary really raised the bar.
I agree.
It was well researched, interesting. Came to
organized well, outlined well. Yeah,
funny. It was funny too. I think Matt Walsh is very likable. Your mileage may vary.
No, in that documentary, I thought he was very likable. I thought he came across, like you said, with a dry humor. He was fun to watch, but also he gave us a lot of information, and I think that was well done. Where this was just, piss poor.
Yeah, it opened my eyes to a lot of things I did not know about the gender ideology and whatnot.
Yeah.
More comments here. Sean Z, Comic Construct for $4.99. Dante, that was actually a great unbiased review, bro. Seriously, I was a clear and unbiased. I did if that was clear and unbiased, I disagree. I'm not sure I understand your last comment there, Sean.
It sounds like a compliment. So
it sounds like a compliment. Yes. So there you go.
I'll take it.
Big fat dude says, then why was Floyd able to change which cheek is on the ground like 2 or 3 times? Don't know about that full weight argument. I just feel like it's so like you can look at it from a million angles and it's like there's a Zapruder film, like a bunch of people can look at it one way, come to one conclusion. And a bunch of people can look at it a different way and come to another conclusion. I thought that part was completely unnecessary in the documentary because it was used as a way to like exonerate Derek Chauvin. Well, that's not what the doc is supposed to be about BLM. And like you said, Dante, they spend less than half the film covering the BLM stuff, which would have been more interesting. And then they even document like her kind of failures to get people to talk to her. Well, then maybe you shouldn't be the one trying to make this documentary. There might be a better
and also let's be clear about this. Depending on what side you fall on, you're going to believe how you're going to believe about how George Floyd died, right? Like there's nothing that anyone can tell you that's going to change your mind about how he died. If you believe he died on fentanyl, you're going to believe that. If you believe he died because of Derek Chauvin, you are going to believe that, right? So no one's going to move you either way, right? So then why focus 50 minutes of an 80-minute doc on that argument when you're really not going to move the needle either way, and instead focus on BLM like you promoted this movie to be?
Yeah, this is my problem with media, the news media in general. It's this idea of I much would rather you present the entire truth to me, give me all the facts, rather than only give me the facts that supports your opinion.
Yeah,
or supports the story you want to tell. The more you hide, the more suspicious you look. And on both sides, I don't think you can call what we know of George Floyd as a lie. You can still call it inconclusive. We still don't know exactly what happened.
More comments here. Want Biscuit says, so Dante should be canceled now. Yeah, both sides indulge in cancel culture. Absolutely. The time they decry it is when they're the ones getting canceled.
Even evangelicals started cancel culture in the 80s. I will tell you that.
Yeah. Dale Smokedown says, Dante, he ingested a lethal dose of drugs. Come on now. He wasn't executed. The prosecution's witness even stated Derek Chauvin used lesser force than his department's policy called for. I don't know if you have an opinion about that.
So,
I think you can agree to disagree, but what are your thoughts?
Then why is Derek Chauvin in prison?
Yeah,
that's the question I have.
Is he an innocent man that's being framed, even though we have him on camera with his knee on the guy's neck?
Anonymous says Floyd's family are the real grifters. That's just I'm just reading the
I don't know.
Man in a Wiki, Candace Owens has a one-sided view. I get it was her project, but the Daily Writer should have turned it over to someone else. I do think that she was the wrong person to make this documentary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's someone else.
The wrong person.
A more competent producer would have put out a much better documentary.
Yeah. Dempsey says you can't discuss BLM without bringing up Floyd.
That is very not true.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
been around a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you could. The issue sounds like a pacing editing issue as opposed to a content issue. Shorten the Floyd part and go into further into the secrets of BLM. Yeah, I feel like I wish it'd done that. Success. I wish it would have done that. I wish it would have like less focus on George Floyd, because I don't know that I learned anything new other than like, here are the roommates, whatever. Here was his car that was taken away. It was like a lot of inconsequential facts, but a lot of the facts about his criminal career, like that's already been public.
And
I don't know what
also
we do.
BLM has been grifting off dead bodies way before George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
maybe
you could talk about BLM without George Floyd for sure.
Yeah.
People don't think about George Floyd as much as we think they do. They think about Black Lives Matter a lot more. Whenever you think about racial issues, Black Lives Matter, not George Floyd.
Shucksy has a couple comments here. George Floyd was definitely put on a pedestal because most people didn't look into anything as usual. He goes on to say people wanted statues of Floyd and streets named after him.
That's really untrue. Here's the thing. You know what's funny is, again, there's this misconception that Black folks care about stuff like this. Like, I remember in LA, they not recently, but a few years ago, they changed the street, a well-known street here, to Obama Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
No Black person asked for an Obama Boulevard. We didn't care about that. You know, it's like, if you're gonna do something for the Black community, add more stores, add more places where people can get jobs, things like that, right? No one wants a statue of George Floyd. First of all, Black folks don't care about statues. You know what I mean? Like, who's asking for a statue of anybody? You know what I mean? So, like, that's not something that anyone asked for. I will agree, he was put on a pedestal by the media, not by Black people. The media needed George Floyd. Do you realize how, like, George Floyd fueled the news cycle for almost a year? So that's what this is about. It's the media, not Black people.
All right, moving on. We're gonna get through these. Chucky says I said people, not Black people. Okay, so there you go.
Fair enough.
Leroy Russell says Dante and I must have watched a different documentary. First of all, completely fair point. You can walk away. I think it depends also on like how informed you are. I probably pay more attention to news than or just, you know, political news than a lot of people who cover film and whatnot. So I think it depends on that and your perspective, and you're welcome to have a different opinion here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is my
Amanda Wiki, the greatest lie ever sold sounds like a good folding laundry documentary. Yeah, like no, there's like a certain kinds of movies where it's just like, oh, I could have like folded laundry while the movie was on in the background. Yeah, it would be good. You don't have to pay full 100% attention. There you go. She goes on to say BLM is like all organizations that collect donations but don't specifically state that they are a nonprofit. Alan Horkin says Michael Moore changed documentary filmmaking, not necessarily for the better, by weaving in the, you know, the person making the film. And now that's like a thing, you know, Morgan Spurlock, among a lot of filmmakers, right. Even, you know, my docs that aren't out yet, I'm kind of in it. And I always cringe when I see myself. But but here you go. Spidey Sensei 72 says the ladies in BLM really did skate off with the bag. So there was a real story there. Sounds like Candace chose not to focus on that.
I totally agree.
And then RMFX says politically agnostic. Right. Yeah. Look,
Dante, really?
Okay. The YouTube channel, you're going to get my opinion. Okay. The website is what I'm talking about when I say politically agnostic. Meaning, if you go to filmthreat.com, you will see types of movie reviews from all ends of the spectrum, all types of different opinions. Okay. That's what I meant when I said Film Threat is a politically agnostic outlet. The website and the reviewers and the team that comprise Film Threat. Okay. Let me get to.
And by the way, let me just state that we are one of the few review companies outside of, like, say, very right-wing reviewers that actually reviewed this movie. You know, like we don't claim to be liberal or conservative, you know, and we still reviewed the movie. So
we have a special. we have a special guest coming on at the top of the hour, filmmaker. So with about the next 10 minutes, Chris Chan Lee is going to be joining us. His film, I believe it's out today, Silent River. I'll find out from Chris when he joins us in 10 minutes. But we got a lot of chats here. So let's get through these. Call sign Alucard for $19.99 says, I have known of CO Candace Owens since her beginning on podcasts. She's always been a cultural warrior, grifter, running after the most charged topics and throwing gas on it. She is a small part of why this country is so divided. So
I mean, I will say that's the job of, media pundits. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily blame her for it, but because that's what they do. That's their job. So
yeah.
Bad Andy, who's a member, says politically homeless means far right these days.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, when you say stuff like that, people can read it a certain way. But look, when I say we're politically agnostic, I'm also saying we're covering movies from all sides of the spectrum. Not other media outlets are doing that. There are other media outlets that are very specifically saying we just cover things on the left, we ignore the right. And I'm saying we don't do that.
Right.
And there are people within Film Threat, that look. We covered Bros on here, right? Like, well, I think a lot of outlets did cover Bros. But what I'm saying is that, like, I think it's important to do that to the best of your ability. I'm going to come in with my own biases, but look, there are other people at Film Threat that will cover a type of film that I won't cover, and that's fine. Alan and Chris to unite us all, says Paulie from Latino Slant. Dale Smokone. Chris even reviews movies that his audience would never even consider watching, like Bros. Exactly.
There you go.
Sean Z Construct says, you guys have a great stream, but it can't hurt adding a Persian guy from Houston. Well, look, for $4.99, thank you for Sean Z. Look, if you would like to write for Film Threat, go to filmthreat.com/contact. You can send a note, and you specifically address Alan.
Yeah. Well, Alan, you could do a drop down and it'll say writing for Film Threat.
Yeah. So if you want to write for Film Threat, we have, can you talk to some of the writers that we have now writing on the website? Because Alan is the editor-in-chief of the website. He runs all the writers. And you could probably speak better to the team because you're always adding someone new because other people get, they kind of usually got about 30 on the regular writers.
Yeah. And I think, a smaller number do it, weekly. But basically, I think the best thing is if you want to write for Film Threat, just have a point of view about films. And the only experience requirement that we have is, you've done some writing. That you've done, there's evidence that you've thought about movies, how to come at it from a critical standpoint. Could have been your personal blog, could have been your school paper, whatever. I'm not looking for anything fancy. It's just, it's easier to get you on board if you've had experience writing, period, no matter what form it takes. And again, I'm politically agnostic as well in terms of, I don't care what your politics are. I just want you to have a viewpoint about a movie that is yours, that doesn't seem tainted by any agenda or anything like that. Just tell me what you think of your film, and we'd love to have you. I will say this. You will be reviewing independent films, low-budget independent films, mid-budgets. The more high-profile films are generally saved for the more senior writers. But we are always looking for writers, and you will get on Rotten Tomatoes when we're fully on board.
Oh wait, Dale Smokedown says no, not Alan and Chris, Alan Chi-Chi's. Oh, that's my God. So is this what you meant?
It's just ruins
Why?
a classic scene, man.
Why?
Chris Chan Lee is in the background, and he's
Like,
got a shock.
Scare a guest away.
Our guest is going to be leaving us.
We're
Doesn't know what
talking
he's getting
politics.
into.
And we're talking,
Ghostwriter for 20. Thank you so much. Quick change of subject. In light of the Lucasfilm secret project announcement, do y'all think Colin Trevorrow would be a better director to do some Star Wars projects? He respects the lore, fans, and has integrity. Ghostwriter, couple thoughts on that. It was announced that Damon Lindelof would be doing a secret Star Wars project set after the events of Star Wars Episode 9, the sequel trilogy. This was announced with very little fanfare, kind of out of the blue. Why wasn't this, if this is actually happening, why didn't this happen? Like, yeah, or why wasn't this announced at D23? A new Star Wars movie would be big news. I think this is big news because it's vapor, it's BS. Colin Trevorrow, they should have made, having read the script for the Episode 9 Duel of the Fates, they should have gone with that script with some changes. And some of the artwork has leaked. You can find artwork for the original Episode 9 Duel of the Fates. Look that up. I think this is not going to happen. I think it's BS. I think Damon Lindelof has a pitch. He is partnered with one of the directors of the Ms. Marvel series on Disney Plus. Anybody can pitch a movie. If you can get in the room, if you have a representation management, an agent who can get you in the room to meet with Kathleen Kennedy, you can pitch a Star Wars movie. So Damon Lindelof, I believe, is doing this of his own accord. I don't think it will happen. Because let me just tell you this. They announced that they were going to do a sequel to Solo. Solo did not do very well. They announced that they were going to do a Lando movie. That never happened. They announced that they were going to do a Rian Johnson whole new Star Wars trilogy. That never happened. They announced that they were going to do a Rogue Squadron movie with Patty Jenkins.
Right.
Okay? That has now fallen apart. I think that this is just, it's not going to happen. Anyone can announce anything. And just if you've been reading the trades as long as I have, you'll know that more than half of what you read the trades is a lie. And what they're trying to do is get traction for that project. I don't believe it will ever happen. Just like the Lando movie didn't happen. The Lando movie was not a bad idea either. You know, like that would, I mean, like one of the best things about the Solo movie was Lando. Yeah, I think that this secret project is not going to happen. And I think that they're just waiting out. I don't know why Kathleen Kennedy's contract was renewed. I think after she did not reunite Han, Luke, and Leia in the first Star Wars sequel, when Carrie Fisher was alive, was a tragic mistake. And I just think that Star Wars Marvel is just going to continue to diminish in popularity among fans, you know, and there you go. And someone even brought up, because isn't Dwayne The Rock Johnson, isn't he AAPI, right? Like, doesn't that, so the critics that gave Black Adam a bad review, are they racist for not liking a very diverse cast? Are the critics who gave Black Adam a bad review racist? Paul Chato, shout out to Paul Chato. Good
question.
He brought that up. It is a good question. Solomon Thornton for 12 says, and thank you for that. Thank you for that super chat. Solomon Thornton for 12. Even though I don't agree with some on Candace Owens' views, I'm glad you guys are reviewing. I gain much more respect for you guys. Politics divides people, and it shouldn't.
Yep. Oh, Chris is stuck. What a pose. Yeah, politics. Oh, yeah, there you go. That was a great pose to be stuck on, by the way.
Something's wrong with our stream here, but yeah, I'm glad. Okay, so I appreciate that. Like, all I can say is this: I welcome different opinions and appreciate it. Our last chat here before we get to our special guest, CD Stein 69 for $4.99. You got CD Stein 69 has a podcast. I'm going to be on his podcast. It's going to be a great conversation, and on the YouTube channel. I will say it's tragically amazing that we've fallen so far back from where we were just 35 years ago. I blame the rise of the 24/7 news cycle. I would add to that social media.
Social media, absolutely.
Yeah.
Social media has destroyed destroyed and divided, and I think it's very disheartening. So, Dante, do you want to stick around, or do you got to run?
Actually, I got to run, guys. But
Okay, great.
I had a great time,
dude. It's
we
great to have you.
definitely got to do this again.
We got to do it again, dude. And I haven't even had a chance to talk to you about Black Adam yet, because we talked about going together. We didn't get to go, but you are going to go with me to see Black Panther.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
So anyway, guys, I got to run. But if you guys, if you want to follow me again, it's just Cancel Dante at both Twitter, Instagram. I should have my own show coming very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And other than that, man, I had a good time.
Dante, a pleasure to have you on the show, and always fun hanging out.
Always.
We get to go to a party. I may have some parties coming up. We got to go. Solomon Thornton, live long and prosper, Sir Dante. And subscribe. Is your YouTube channel up yet? Is it up yet?
Not yet. Like I said, it's coming soon. And when it does, I'll be on your show again to promote.
Great. And you will be with us in a couple weeks when we talk about Wakanda Forever.
Absolutely, I am.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Take care, Dante.
Have a good one.
Ya. Bye. That's awesome. It was great. We're going to get to the chat, but we have a very special guest here joining us. I'm going to flip us around here. The film Silent River is, well, he's going to tell us if it's here. Writer-director Chris Chan-Lee is joining us on the Film Threat live cast. Chris, really great to have you on the show. How's it going today?
Hey, I'm still reeling from that Fast Times clip. I can't.
I know.
I don't know if I'm ever going to recover from that.
No.
You guys ruined it for me. So okay.
Well, there might be worse clips. There might be. Let me see if I can find one.
Oh no.
Just, you never know what's going to happen on the show. It's Alan.
Okay.
I can't believe it.
No.
Sorry, I don't want to derail the show. That's the point of the show, is it gets derailed. But your film Silent River is a genre film that played successfully on the festival circuit. Is it out now and available on video on demand?
Yes. So Silent River is a independent feature film, and you're catching me literally like the day after our widely available commercial release on video on demand. So it's on iTunes, Apple TV, Amazon Prime. It's on Comcast, lots of other platforms if you're already a subscriber. And there's more information on our website, silentrivermovie.com, to see what all the activity is. So this has been like a 4-year journey, and you're catching me as I'm crawling through the finish line. Like, we just did all this promotion. We did a theatrical in LA, and it's great to be here on the other side, so.
Tell us about the story for the film and how it resonated with audiences.
It's a mind-bending sci-fi mystery film about a guy who winds up at a remote desert hotel on his way to try and reconcile with his ex. And while he's at the hotel, he becomes very intrigued with this mysterious woman that checks in next door to him. And I don't want to give anything away, but it plays with a lot of sense of mythology and about what is real, and potentially like transitioning to this like purgatory reality, and the film sort of plays in a dreamlike state, and as there's this bonding, this new relationship that's being formed between these two hotel guests.
I have to ask you about the visual style of your film. What were your influences behind that, and what was kind of your motivation in the way you visually told the story?
Yeah, it's hard to say definitively what all the inspirations or influences were. I certainly have a lot of filmmakers that I've really enjoyed and studied and everything. And we were trying to do something original, but I think the film may play well for audiences that are into films like from Kubrick or David Lynch. I know there was one direct influence like right before we shot the film. We were already in pre-production. It was already scripted and stuff. I guess I was the last person on the planet that hadn't seen Possession yet. The one with Isabelle Adjani, and that just blew me away. And it sort of underscored the possibilities of cinema, right? That sometimes film can be a little bit too complacent. That the language, the vocabulary doesn't have to be so narrow. And that film Possession really reminded me, just like David Lynch films as well, that cinema is a world of possibilities, that we don't have to be anchored into the physical plane of, the rules of nature, etc. So it's pretty much all over the map, my influences. But like Kubrick was, like, when I was trying to find influences, the closest film that I could find that was like kind of taking place at a hotel and all that stuff obviously is The Shining. And but no one's going to really replicate that film. I'm just saying, like, those are the kinds of things that interest me, was where a film is sort of a Pandora's box, and the more you study it, the more you learn from the world.
And what I really love is that your film represents kind of a movement now of low budget indie sci-fi, fantasy, horror, that is possible to achieve on a low budget scale. And that's what I love, is you can get into it's almost like the whatever budgetary restraints are actually made up for in the realm of ideas. And that's why I think indie sci-fi is so exciting to me. So
yeah, exactly, Chris. I mean, my collaborators and we have bigger projects, big other scripts, other properties that we would love to do, etc. But it got to that point about 3 years ago. We were like, heck, the technology is there. There's like all this new equipment, available to independent filmmakers, that really brought the barrier of entry down. And I was kind of like, why are we waiting for permission? Why are we waiting for somebody to tell us we can go make a movie? We know how to make a movie. Let's just go do it. It was with that spirit in mind. And frankly, it's a lot less expensive. It's a lot cheaper now than it was even 10 or 20 years ago, right? Where you had all these other fees that were involved with post-production and even acquisition and everything. So there are really a lot of opportunities now for filmmakers to do very high level of production value at a low cost.
Yeah, and not to pry too much on the budget, but it is possible to make that math work, where you did a limited theatrical. It's on VOD, just came out on VOD yesterday, you said, right?
Right.
So it's on video on demand. There's a way, and part of, like, I know there's like 350 people watching us live right now on YouTube. So smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. But also, a lot of people who check out our channel are interested in, like, well, how can I be a creator and make a film and get it out there? And, like, what's interesting, the process that you went through is not just making the movie. That's a job. Then the other part of the job is you got to, like, release the movie. That's a whole other set. That's like a whole other job. We have a lot of comments and questions in the chat. Would you mind taking some chat questions?
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. So here we go. I'll throw them up on screen. JK Nonstop says, mind-bending sci-fi mythology, Kubrick, Lynch. I'm sold. You piqued my interest with Lynch, says Anarkitty 83. Danielle B. All right, I'll check it out. Ryan Landis says, sounds interesting. Anarkitty 83 goes on to say, ooh, existential dread. And Dale Smokone says, where can I watch? My local theaters are hit and miss with indie film support. So where can people get it?
Yeah, thanks for your interest, everybody. And we finished our 1 week theatrical run. It was only in Los Angeles. It's a really tough time in general for independent films to be in a physical theater. But we're also, you alluded to this before, Chris, but that was part of the intention, was to make a film that was low enough in production costs that I could recoup for my investors and make it like an actual viable enterprise for everybody involved, because this is about the long haul, right? We want to keep making films and having product that sort of justifies all the resources, etc. So anyways, so to that end, people are mainly going to be able to watch it now, and it's available on video on demand, like Apple TV and iTunes, Amazon Prime, etc. And you could also check out the trailer and all that kind of stuff to see if it's up your alley. I mean, when I became a filmmaker was the day that, you know, I'm an older guy, so I remember when I went into a movie theater and totally not having any expectations, and I saw David Lynch's Blue Velvet, right? And that was a window into world building, and to have to share that experience with an audience and with the filmmakers of this very unique, specific world that's being created, you know, on the screen. And that inspired me to become a filmmaker. And those are the kind of things that really excite me in the cinema.
What did your parents think of you wanting to get into film?
Yeah, they never really, they were always questioning it, right?
Yeah.
My parents are first generation Korean immigrants, and of course they wanted me to take a different path. And anyways, even to this day, my mom doesn't really quite understand what I do. So
Yeah. When you start making some real money, they'll understand.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, you have a lot of questions, so let's get to some of these. Werewolf Jeebus says, "Is that a Hokusai wood block print?"
In the background behind you.
In the background.
Oh yeah, that boy. It's Cozy and Dan, right? So it's based on those famous Japanese wave paintings. But if you look up really closely at it, the white caps of the ocean wave are actually bunny rabbits. So it's really clever and cute, you know.
Eric O'Sullivan, I'd love to see this. I have the Somerville Theater in Davis Square, Somerville, and the Brattle in Harvard Square, Cambridge. Any chance of your print making it here, Mr. Lee?
I hope so. You know, Eric, we've actually had a really tricky time getting into the Boston market for film festivals, and I don't know why, because I've screened other films there in the past. I hope we make it there. Maybe talk to your local theater or film programmers, you know.
Well, I think it would be weird if you showed it in the Boston market, because if you ever go there, the line at the buffet
Oh, right.
is like the worst. Their macaroni and cheese is very delicious. Bad. Okay. Danger UXO says, question for Chris. If you could work with any actor, who would you want to work with?
Oh, wow. You know, I really believe like the role in a film is, you know, I wouldn't just like arbitrarily want to work with one of the many actors that I admire. It would be about the pairing with the story and the character and stuff. But I can't really think off the top of my head. You know, I've been so wrapped up in this project, and like this has been my space for the past 4 years. And I do have some ideas about what I want to do next, but it's hard to think about, well, you know, to make that kind of a choice that you just asked. I just want to keep working with good talent, people that, because you know, every day is it's a huge challenge. There's a lot of risk, and so you want to really enjoy the process as much as possible. So that's, for me, that's the most important thing.
Glanuccio says the website for this movie is phenomenal. That kaleidoscope effect you achieved with the photo as you move the mouse is very cool. What is the website?
Oh, thank you. The website is silentrivermovie.com.
Mm-hmm.
And our key art was designed by Jared Potter, and then our team did the website. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, getting a good movie poster is not super expensive on an indie level. So all these tools and everything are just completely available. So, God, we had so many questions here. What would be a movie you'd want to redo or story to create that hasn't been done yet? Says CD Stein 69.
I think I'm as adverse to maybe redoing stuff as a lot of people tend to be. But I really want to make a horror film soon. And I want to make a film that is, you know, that has like a unique sort of palette, and that makes the audience engage in the story, you know, makes them like want to go deeper into the film in that experience. And I think horror films really call upon the filmmaker, right, to pull out all your arsenal and technique and everything as far as like drawing the audience and pulling them along. And that's what I would love to do next.
Well, yeah, the website is really cool. It's silentrivermovie.com. Shelby AC asks, question for Chris, how much did the movie change from script to shooting? Do you like to let things get figured out as it goes, or do you like to have everything worked out as much as possible?
Oh, that's a great question. And you know, the way I like to go about it is to plan as much as possible. So everything is set. It's like, you know, it's storyboarded. We have floor plans, shot lists. The whole day is mapped out. That being said, oftentimes, just for practical reasons, like you're running out of time, or you're falling behind, or some piece of equipment's not working. I mean, for many reasons, you have to change your game plan. There was one day where I think I had about 30 or more setups planned for a scene. It was kind of like a chase sequence a little bit, or somebody gets lost and they have to find this person, excuse me. And we were running out of time because we were backed up between two other scenes. So I ended up just throwing away the entire shot list, and we turned all those 30 setups into one shot, one master, you know? So those are just the things that happen, but you try to make it like, you try to have your vocabulary figured out. So even when you're making those changes, it doesn't feel like a compromise. It's just you've already worked out, you know, the way that the film is supposed to play and the tone and you know, the different sort of motifs, and you just sort of rework with what you have. And that's what we try to do all the time.
Another question here from Mulvey747. What was the best aspect of making this film, and what was the worst?
The best aspect was also the worst aspect, and that was limited resources and limited personnel. So everybody had to wear a lot of hats. The good thing about that is, you know, we were able to really benefit from having very committed people that really invested themselves into the project, and so it just brought out the best in our team, and as far as like collaboration and all that kind of stuff. I had to wear like 20 hats through the whole thing. It was really tough.
Wait, only 20 hats? Alan wears like 40 hats.
Right.
We know how it is doing things low budget. Solomon Thornton says, any other projects you're interested in exploring? Can't wait to see it. This from Solomon Thornton. The website is amazing, by the way.
That's so cool.
SilentRiverMovie.com. We're featuring it right here. It looks amazing. But any other projects? You mentioned a horror film. Do you have one you're working on?
Yeah, I have a horror film that the script's already been finished, and I'm hoping to get that set up. I have some TV series ideas. I have like a war drama. I mean, I have all kinds of. I think the hope is that each film is going to be a completely new set of challenges, and I'll be able to explore different, you know, modes of storytelling. So I would love to just try to keep mixing things up and keep it exciting and keep it interesting, you know?
Yeah. Griffin has just a quick comment. Says, in a way, we know how to do it, so just film it mentality is what made 1984 The Terminator. They did a lot of guerrilla shooting. So yeah, when you look at like some of the greatest filmmakers, all came from indie. Right, it's not like a big studio just spending money to solve a problem. When you're an indie filmmaker, you really do have to, you know, you got to figure out how to fix problems like right on the fly. So
yeah, Terminator, what a classic film, right? James Cameron, and it also makes me think, I don't know why, but it makes me think of Ridley Scott and Alien, right? He came from the commercial world, so you have these filmmakers that are they're coming up during the advent of new technology in their era, in their particular era or generation, and they're the ones that capitalize on that technological innovation, and they take advantage of it, and they're the ones that bring these new kinds of movies to audiences. James Cameron and Ridley Scott are perfect examples of those leaders, you know.
And a last question here from Flaccid Phoenix, who asks, what do you do to de-stress? after stressful projects, and making a movie is definitely stressful.
Flaccid Phoenix is clearly another filmmaker because yeah, after we shot Silent River, it was the summer of 2019. Even though we had a really great experience in terms of there not being any drama, everyone got along great, and things went pretty well, etc. Because you're operating at such a high level of adrenaline for a very long period of time, and every day you're like jumping out of bed, like, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that. When you get off, when the shoot ends, the decompression is so harsh. I was like really depressed, because after running at this level for such a long time, I completely crashed. So it took me a few months to recover from it, actually. What to do to de-stress? That's a really good question, but I have fantasies of just being on a beach somewhere, maybe go to Hawaii or something, or Mexico.
Travel. Well, travel comes with its own stresses.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to say, Chris Chanley, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast here on Hollywood on the Rocks, our Wednesday.
We have a super chat for Chris too.
Oh wait, there is. Oh, okay, great. CD Stein 69 for $1.99 says, "Look, another great Chris in the Hollywood sphere, like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Chanley."
Well, it's actually great to be here with you guys and you, Chris. I mean, I've been a big fan and follower of Film Threat for a long time, so it's so exciting to be on the show.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the compliment. No, it's Film Threat's mission, to champion smaller indie movies and give them attention. So, congratulations on the release of the film. I hope your parents are proud.
Yeah.
So, and Griffin says, "Keep it up, Chris Chanley. We're cheering for you. Salute." So,
thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, take care, Chris. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Later. Congrats. Silent River is out and available, so check it out on VOD. Go to silentrivermovie.com and check it out. It's wow, what a great show today. Here's the thing. We didn't get to my review of Ticket to Paradise. So we're going to do it on Friday. We will definitely it seems like there's always one thing.
Yeah.
Always one thing that gets dropped. I think
the question is, should we see it tomorrow?
Should we see it tomorrow?
Or would that spoil the review?
You know what? Have you seen the trailer? That's the movie. It is a light romantic comedy, and I will give you more. There's a very important point that I want to make by way of this film, but I'll talk about that on Friday. I may have a rant. In me. I can feel one percolating. But Alan, what else? Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to say before we say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, just the usual. Go to filmthreat.com. We have a lot of.
Sorry, Alan.
I'm trying to plug our website. You're
Sorry,
just as invested in it as me.
Wait, you were saying?
Yeah, go to filmthreat.com for the latest reviews. We're getting a lot up there.
My nipples look like milk duds.
Yeah, we have great writers to review films.
Hi.
It's very zen,
It is very zen. But no, Alan does an amazing job on the website. Like Film Threat is, it's not just Alan and I. It's a whole other group. There's Dante. There are many other writers on the website, and we should probably start bringing this. So I want to start another show where we feature, conversation, our versus show, which we did on Monday. That was sort of a trial run. It's kind of a trial run.
I would call it that, yes.
Yeah, so definitely a trial run. I should have been more explicit when I invited the guests on of like, what was the expectation? Make an impassioned argument find a position and we'll hone that format. But ultimately, what we want to do is have a conversation with people coming from various points of view, and always included in that conversation is you, the viewer, and people in the chat. We appreciate you and thank you so much. Let me just go. We got some few chat comments here, and let's get through them here. Dempsey says the Versus show was fun.
Unlike She-Hulk, it'll get better.
Yeah. Yeah, unlike Chris is getting too predictable with the interruptions. Alan is doing great work, says Alan Horn. What are you, team Alan Orkin? Oh my God. Lord Thoth, cancel Chris and promote Alan to channel lead.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, Patrick Lemire. Remember, just because you disagree with someone doesn't make them trash. I agree. Like, look, I will argue your opinion and point. I will debate your point, but I'm not going to be dismissive of a person. And I think that's kind of, people have conflated like someone's opinions with a person, or with, it's like, no, I'm going to debate your what your take is, whatever it is, I'm going to debate that. But I respect, I don't know, maybe it's just the way I was brought up. I may respect you, and I'll respect your opinion, but I will debate it. So there you go. And CD Sign 69, don't forget to plug the watch party this weekend. Oh, that's right. We are doing, well, that's right. No, Friday we are this is going to be fun. Friday we are doing our first watch party we've done since January. Let me tell you about this. The movie that we're doing is I can't wait. It is what is the I'm gonna go to our I'm gonna go to our
have it set up beforehand.
No. It's in our the Film Threat Twitter feed. I want to share it. So I want to find it because I posted about it. We're going to be bringing on it's called Spirit Halloween the movie, okay? And it is literally about a bunch of kids who get trapped in a Spirit Halloween store. They get trapped, and they got to spend the night, and there are evil spirits there. I will be doing. Alan, you going to be a part of it, or is it just me?
Friday
at 5 p.m. Come to our Film Threat watch party. You can actually watch it on Twitch, on our Film Threat Facebook page, but mostly on YouTube. Okay, so please join us for the watch party. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have most of the actors. Christopher Lloyd is in the movie. We're trying to get Christopher Lloyd, but the director will be there. And I know a bunch of the actors, and the watch parties are a lot of fun. Let me actually, you know what? Just so people understand what is a watch party, I want to explain what a watch party is. Because it works a little differently, right? And I got to find, we have a video that explains the watch parties. Why can't I find this video?
Do you need it? I have it.
Can you play it?
Yeah, I can play it.
I thought, no, it's in the videos that we uploaded.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's probably it's in the watch party branding.
All right, let me bring that up real quick. Yeah. Okay. So real quick, this is how a watch party works.
Welcome to the Film Threat Watch Party.
Oh boy.
So, what is a watch party?
Hopefully get into the nitty-gritty of how this thing was made, which is really exciting.
You're telling a story, you're transporting people, with an experience.
It's a chance to watch your favorite independent films right alongside the cast and creators that made them.
Because you wanted my real-time reactions.
Instead of all of you getting together in one physical location, you can join in from the comfort of your own home.
So we gotta the secrets are gonna come out on this Film Threat watch party.
Think of it like you were hosting a fun, casual screening of your film at a backyard party with the cast, filmmakers, and your best friends.
It was just like, I just had a smile on my face all the time.
Film Threat watch parties are a second screen experience. So play the film on your TV while you view the watch party on your tablet, iPad, phone, or computer.
All right, this is the movie we're making. Okay, I get it.
You're finest photographer.
Audience members, your fans and followers, can ask questions of the filmmakers and cast, share a line from their favorite scene, or just tell you how awesome you are.
You guys all did amazing jobs.
And if someone shows up late, no worries.
Everybody ready?
We're pressing play.
We'll help them sync up the film so they're all caught up with us.
3, 2, 1, click.
You guys got to get it. You got to get on this train. Time is ticking. It's going 50% off right now.
So join us live on the Film Threat Watch Party. Comment and ask questions, and hear the cast and filmmakers' responses live.
You hold on to your seats, because buckle up.
And there you go. That's basically how a watch party works. And if you're look, I always love when it comes to August and suddenly this empty store turns into a Spirit Halloween. I always get excited when I see that, because then I know that Halloween is coming up. But Alan, whether you're there or not, it's fine. I will be there. I'll be talking to the filmmakers, and it should be a lot of, it's just, we're basically just talking while a movie is on in the background. So my suggestion, go get Spirit Halloween, the movie. You can rent it, buy it, however you see it, find it. And then we're going to sync up the movie, and then the cast is there for you to ask questions while the movie is playing. It's super fun. So I hope you'll join us.
And you could do it with our past watch parties as well.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of there's Insert Coin, the Tony Hawk documentary is on there. The Dark Side with David Cross. Yeah. We probably have more than 50 watch parties that we've done in the past. And it was something that we started like sort of at the beginning of the pandemic. Like, well, what can we do? We can't go out and see movies. Let's do watch parties. So, and we're going to test kind of bringing it back maybe on a monthly basis. So there you go. And thank you for sticking with us here. The chat, just love it. Look, Ryan Landis says, Chris, is there a chance of showing the film's trailer right before the guest filmmaker comes on? Just a suggestion. Great suggestion. Let's do that. So like the first 15 minutes, we kind of chat, talk about the movie, whatever. And then after 15 minutes, we press play. This movie's like 80 minutes. So it's quick. We'll have a lot of fun. And oh, that's right. Yes. JK Nonstop. Oh, snap. The maker of Corona Zombies.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's right. We did a Corona Zombies watch party, which was a lot of fun. Ryan Landis goes on to say, I feel like I just watched an orientation film at a new job. And Flaccid Phoenix says, plug Alan's nipples.
Ooh, that sounds bad.
I don't know. I don't know. And with that,
we have one final super chat.
Oh wait, one final super chat is Dr. Fauci's prison butt for $5. Sorry I joined late with Gunn taking over DC. Do you ever think we'll see Darkseid's invasion? And if not, how do you think the Flash movie will reset the universe? First of all, thank you, Dr. Fauci's prison butt.
For all your work and service.
Yes, all of that. We did talk about it earlier. So what I would do is when the stream ends, go back to the beginning. The first hour of our conversation is about Superman and DC and whatnot. And then we get into talking about the Candace Owens documentary, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold. I think that what's going to happen is the Flash will reset things. And it's going to basically change the players on the board for what the next 10. That's why I think they pushed back the Flash movie, not only for, Ezra Miller's very public meltdowns and problems, but also to give them an opportunity to kind of reset this. So starting with the Flash, I believe is going to be, and I think some of these other
universe.
Yeah, it's like this is going to be then going forward. I think that my understanding is that the holy trinity of DC, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot were spotted doing extra scenes, shooting extra scenes to to be added into, who knows, the Flash, whatever. The Gun Show, says John Millwald. Yeah, I think that the Flash movie will be the reset, and that going forward will be not Zack Snyder's vision, but the new vision going forward, but using some of the best things that Zack Snyder, look, you got to give Zack Snyder credit. Okay. He established the look of those characters, which are amazing. He cast Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. Like, I feel like there are a lot of creative choices that he made that were incredibly impactful. So I have a lot of confidence, especially with James Gunn being a part of it, because James Gunn, he doesn't get enough credit for this. He was one of the architects behind all the events of the Marvel Universe. He's an executive producer on Infinity War and Endgame. So Gunn deserves probably a little bit more credit. And since post Endgame, it's been very mixed to not great for Marvel. Deano for £5. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Just a thumbs up. Just a thumbs up.
Oh,
Dempsey,
and we have
says we need a Gore verse.
Absolutely.
I don't. You know what? The connected Gore verse is watch parties versus Hollywood on the Rocks and the Film Threat livecast. Call sign Alucard for $9.99 says a close relative worked on Man of Steel production for Autumn Frost. Put out with ask for EMPs. I don't know what EMPs.
Employees
who had family farm picks. Long story short, my pick was selected possibly to be in Man of Steel as baby Superman, and my cuz pick was toddler soups. Oh, that's great. That's pretty awesome. Cool. If you post that on social media, tag me so I can see it. And someone asked someone was asking about where they can see Spirit Halloween, the movie. It is available on demand. So you should be able to see it on demand.
Yeah, Apple, Vudu, Amazon Prime, the like.
Yeah, rent it, buy it, watch the movie along with us. I'll be there. And because it's a watch party, I'm probably going to be having an adult beverage. I might be drinking during the watch party. Feel free to drink along with me. It'll get very interesting. Our first watch party since January, Alan.
Yes. Yeah, I just RSVP for Till. I think that's the only thing that's conflicting.
Oh, you're gonna okay. All right. Well, you could probably, because I don't think Till starts till 6:30. You could probably be in the chat. You could probably be in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for us. I mean, it does wrap it up for us. I want to say thank you to Alan for just tolerating all of the videos.
The nonsense? Is that what you're going to say?
The nonsense. Just having a good sense of humor. I mean, the one thing I'll say, about people working at Film Threat, I feel like we all have a good sense of humor. I think that's kind of what keeps us, keeps us sane through all this. And we appreciate you in the chat. Thank you for all your super chats, your comments, your questions, your support by just watching the channel. And Glanuccio, killing it with the videos and the thumbnails and the graphics, has catapulted our channel. Oh my God. There's two things we didn't review today. Hot D, House of the Dragon. We're going to have to,
okay. I'll be able to see it by Friday.
Okay. So we're going to talk about House of the Dragon and Ticket to Paradise on Friday. And I forgot what else we're talking about. A couple. There's a horror movie.
I could talk about Armageddon Time.
Armageddon Time. And then we're going to talk about the movie Pray for the Devil. That's the one I'm going to see?
Yeah. And then fingers crossed if I can see Kantara.
Yeah. So we will go fast. We will go fast with our reviews. Talking about Superman really kind of, lit up the chat. Having Dante on, I think also got a lot of conversation. And we will get to those. We will get to those on Friday. We'll do like quick hits for all those movies. I just want to say thank you to everyone, and we will be back. Alan,
let's get out of here.
Hi.